All right, there we go. There's them live. All right. Probably because it's just come to 5:45, like I said it was going to be. All right. So, Townsville just happened. Just finished watching the broadcast. I have notes. I got lots of notes to talk about. I got snacks. I got cordial. I don't know where to start. Probably go through the entire weekend. There's all sorts to talk about. I suppose if we're going to talk about people's weekends as a whole, I mean, there's obviously Triple Eight. Like that's been well documented. They started nowhere. They went to the front. That's just what they do. That's what they do all the time. Then you've got, Tickford were a little bit up and down all weekend. They had the car speed. They screwed it up on Saturday, was it? And couldn't make it work. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Cam Waters didn't have a great start to the weekend anyway. His starter motor failed, and he was struggling for pace and practice as well. Crazy understeer in practice too for him. Randall's new camera angle's pretty great. What else? I'm not sure about having the camera angle all the time. I still prefer the old one. I feel like you can still see more. It's nice to you get the driver's view of what's going on, but it's not that. It's not it. It's not great. What else? What have I got going on here? Oh yeah, my thoughts on things. But I'm just going over Tickford. We've got qualifying or something. Maybe I'll just go through everything bit by bit rather than going on with a particular team. So you got practice 1. Chaz is the new car. They're talking about bleeding brakes, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but they made it sound like it was a bad thing. But the impression that I've had about bleeding brakes is that while it's an issue, it can happen. And it's sort of a procedural thing. Like they kind of knew what they were doing with it. Cam Waters' starter motor failed, and he was struggling for pace anyway. Heimgartner locked up. Golding ran wide. Although sometimes my own language on whether someone's run wide or ran wide themselves is pretty confusing. Cooper Murray had a moment in 9 and 10, which I can't remember all the corners, but in 9 and 10, all that going on. Brown crashes. That was a weird one. What did he do? He clipped the inside wall and span it and clipped the rear wing off. And that was interesting because he went to practice 2. They'd sort of patched it up. It was all right. I think in qualifying there was still a little bit of repair work that you could still see. Like it wasn't perfect. Like it hadn't been completely patched up and completely covered up and all beautiful again. Brody Kostecki, steering issues, and he struggled with that all weekend. You get up to, was it Sunday? You get up to, I think it was today. He was talking about it in qualifying. That's Saturday. When was it? I got notes for every race. But yeah, he mentioned it like later in the weekend. They were still having that issue. What else? To go practice 2. Fullwood had a lock up. Ryan Wood had some belt issues, which was an interesting one. Yeah, I don't really know. I'm gonna put actually, if I put a picture up, it'll confuse me. It'll distract me. I need to not be distracted. Heimgartner ran wide. Heimgartner just had a rough weekend. He had some pace and he was pushing really hard and racing really hard in the first few races. I think on Sunday it was nice and quiet, and I think it was because halfway through the Saturday race he tidied it up because I think he got a penalty for punting Cam Hill. Just things that I noticed, like Brock Feeney's rear of his car was up under the brakes at the first corner at turn 2, which I noticed because when you're watching and you're trying to look for the little things, you can, like, the cars that are a little bit on edge seem to be a bit faster. The ones that aren't on edge don't seem to be faster. Like the ones that are twitchy are faster. Like I've got written here, Kostecki and Jones were fast. Payne ran wide in practice 2. Cooper Murray clipped a curb. Brown ran late because he torched a front left, costing him a set. This impacted him later in the weekend. We get up to the Sunday, I think. He didn't have tyres for the top 10 shootout. And that was probably because he torched a tyre. He torched a set, I think, was it in practice 1 when he crashed, possibly. Is that right? Yeah, because if he ran late in practice 2, it's because he did something in practice 1. So what was a crazy understeer? Percat ran wide. What else we got? Randall's new camera angle, and yeah, I already talked about how Brown's damage evolved over the weekend in the sessions. In qualifying, not enough drive for Feeney in the rear end, and then I thought maybe the early runners wore their tyres too quickly. So you saw people going faster at the end of the session, and that's obviously because of track evolution. But then you've got where am I going with this? Looking at my own face distracts me. Maybe early runners wore their tyres too quickly. Yeah, I think like you see the progression of things in qualifying, especially on the Friday. The way and the qualifying for Friday was a little bit weird, but I'll get into that. Kai Allen, turn 11, not the best corner. I guess that's something he said that wasn't his best corner. I think turn 11 is the hairpin, maybe? Is it 9, 10, 11? Yeah, 9, 10, 11 is like the little complex. Then so the people that got into Q2. So it's interesting. Nobody screwed up in qualifying for the Friday race. I think apart from maybe Kai Allen, but I think he still got through. Q2, JLB, Mozzie, Brody, Woody stayed in until late and did their laps late in the piece. Payne out, then in, no lap yet. I thought that was interesting because he went out. It was like he was just roading the tyres, and then he went out again later. JLB was the first one out in the last batch, and he was well ahead of everyone else. That was interesting. And then he locked up, and we saw a bit of that. Like the Erebus cars were fast, but they kept making mistakes, so it didn't really help them. So we locked up. Matt Payne ran wide. And some people ran used tyres at the start of that Friday qualifying in Q2 and then did greens at the end. Brody burned both his greens, which is a bit interesting, but you don't know if everybody did that. You don't know what everybody would do with tyres. You'd have to really track it. DJR made big changes before Darwin. Okay, this must be the interview that Brody talked about. He ran 2 sets of greens. They made big changes before Darwin, tuned it up more for Townsville. And Davo said that driving the track is really different with different tyres. You can't drive the car the same as you did in 2024. It's the new soft tyre makes it really difficult. And a lot of people were talking about they couldn't turn the tyres on and things like that. They just couldn't get the grip, and people were talking about that a lot. Then in the Friday race, Jackson Evans gets a broken wheel, and I don't think we saw how that happened. It was just a weird one that happened. I saw Kai Allen had a bit of rear damage, I'm just reporting. I'm not talking about what the results were in qualifying and results in the races because you can look that stuff up. What I'm looking at is where things went wrong over the weekend, and you see, when I talk about certain drivers, certain teams, you get a bit of an idea of who was struggling all weekend. Because Triple Eight made the obvious comeback, but apart from that, no good. Actually, I don't know why I said that. Yeah. Apart from like Triple Eight had the obvious story of always started down the back, now out the front, we're all good. But there's plenty of stories up and down pit lane. Aaron Cameron got hit off. Aaron Cameron had speed, and he just kept on getting involved in incidents. He got hit off, had some rear damage, and afterwards we saw replays. So Brown's side bumped him when he put the move on, and then because they were all checking up in the little battle pack, Courtney's bumped Cameron off, and that ruined his race. Andre kept. Was it? Oh, okay. So I thought it was Andre. Yeah, Andre's driving. Andre was desperate. Like watching him on the Friday, watching him on the Saturday, I was like, dude, put a lid on it. You are so, like, and so like he got away with it in the Friday race, but he ended up punting Cameron Hill in the Saturday race and copped 15 seconds. Was it 5 seconds or 15 seconds? It's 5 seconds if it's for a bump and run. It's 15 seconds for a rotation. But Andre kept on diving on Aaron Cameron, and then that led Will Brown through. Later on, Will Davison ran wide. I said earlier, Anton passed with a bump. So there's like a fair bit of like really aggressive racing going on. People are bumping one another and getting through. So you get a bit of an idea of where people's momentum is getting upset. And so, yeah, like Will Davison wasn't having the best weekend. He was getting bumped, but he was qualifying really well. What else? Oh, yeah. So Evans rode the wheel of Cooper Murray. This is later. He gets interviewed and he says, "Oh, this is what happened. I think I ran over Cooper Murray's wheel." Everyone checked up and he's ended up in the wrong spot and bounced off of Cooper Murray. But this is what happens when you qualify down the back. He was qualifying well earlier in the season, but now it's just not going as well. And maybe that's because other teams are doing better. Then Jack LeBrock had a slow pit stop. Thomas Randall, what did I say? I said maybe a slow stop too. It looked a bit slow to me. Will Davison had a slightly slow stop. And then Fullwood jumped Davo because BJR always got fast pit stops. So they regularly make gains in the pits. Ryan Wood ran wide. And when they run wide, doesn't necessarily mean that they lost any positions. It just meant they made a mistake. And it gives you a bit of an idea of how their weekend's going if they ran wide, if they're not, if they're struggling a little bit. Thomas Randall had front brake issues apparently later in the race, or I think it was Scafey who said that Tommy Randall looked like he had front brake issues. And Will Brown made a mistake and let Feeney by. And I said the Biffo was on Andre versus Hill. Feeney versus Payne, and Andre versus Aaron Cameron. So Andre was definitely in the mix, pushing hard against everyone. It was nuts. Feeney versus Payne, can't quite remember what that one was, but there was a little bit of like really clever racing going on. But that's just the Friday race. So all I've got to say about the Friday race is bring on more Friday races. I noticed, so we had it's still Townsville 500 this weekend. It was 100 kilometers on the Friday, 200 on the Saturday, 200 on the Sunday. So slightly shorter races on the weekend. But the Adelaide 500 is no longer the Adelaide 500. It's called the Adelaide Grand Final for a reason. It's because it's 600. It's the Adelaide 600. So you got 100 Ks on the Friday, 250 Saturday, 250 Sunday. I didn't realize that until I think they showed it on the broadcast, and I was like, oh, it's Adelaide 600. That's weird. So that's why they don't call it the Adelaide 500 anymore, because it's not. So then come to Saturday, we've got qualifying. Cam Waters using used fronts to save tyres in Q1. And he hit the wall during his final lap. We found that out afterwards because he didn't get through into Q2, which was a bit shocking because he's a Tickford driver. He's Cam Waters. He's usually good at Townsville. They screwed up, and there's a few examples of people just screwing up. I don't know if him having better tyres would have made a difference, but there were examples of people trying to save tyres for benefit later. Yes, Ryan Wood didn't warm his tyres up correctly, and then they timed his lap wrong at the end. So, yeah, pretty much. He didn't get a proper lap in the first time round, and then the next time round they didn't time it right, and the checker flag was out before he crossed the line, which meant that he couldn't do his lap. So then we got Q2, Tommy Randall struggling under brakes. So maybe he's having brake issues like all weekend, because if we had issues in the Friday race, and then yeah, we had that, and then I think he had some issues in practice as well. Tommy Randall had some issues in practice. Where we're looking, no, he did not. All right, I made that up. All right, so Q2. Randall struggling under brakes apparently in Q2 on the Saturday. Brown had a strategy of one lap in the mid session, if you're not sure, but I think it was mainly because he torched that set of tyres earlier in the weekend, so it cost him there. But I think he was also trying not to use more tyres than he needed to. He was trying to go, all right, we can get away with this, and he did. He did get away with it. He got through into the shootout, and was lucky with that one. Kai Allen hit the curb hard. Slide for Mostert, some oversteer. Then Courtney reports an issue in qualifying, or a mistake in qualifying. And Garth Tander made the interesting point about drivers want more front. So if the more, he said the more front you have, the better you can turn, the better drivers who can manage, because the more front you got, the more the rear wants to kick gas. You get a bit more oversteer. So you got to learn how to drive the car without the car pushing too much. Well, actually, push would be an understeer, but without the car rotating on you. So it's a difficult thing to get right, but I think David Reynolds had a car that was understeering quite a bit on the Saturday. So top 10 shootout. Greens for Davo, struggled to turn the tyres on. He said he couldn't find the switch. He made a dad joke. Brock Feeney had a tiny rear lock, struggled for grip in the first corners. I think greens for Davo, Feeney, Murray, LeBrock, Brown. Brody couldn't get tyres in the window either. Tailwind on JLB's run. Wheel spinning in 12 and 13. Locked right front to 11. Murray caught the curb and big lock up into 12. So like Erebus had pace, but they kept on screwing up. What else we got? Forward had used tyres, which is interesting. Especially on the Saturday. Like, why would you be running used? But that's so they have a better performance later in the weekend. You got to you got to have your dinner before you have your dessert. You can't screw it up too badly. Reynolds missed the turn 1 apex. He still did okay though in the shootout, and that was all he did wrong in that lap was he missed the turn 1 apex. Or at least I thought he did. JC had greens. Little drama at turn 3. I wondered if it might be wind affected. It's the top 10 shootout on Saturday. Brown had a double bounce in turn 9. Turn 5 and 6 weren't great, he said. And Feeney and Payne ran 3 green tyres. And Dave Reynolds got pole. Big Dave Energy, I wrote, because that's what it says on the back. It says on his bum. It says Big Dave Energy on his suit. And I tried to find a picture, but I couldn't find a picture of it, so I'd have to really look for it. And Dave was unwell as well, and I was like, oh yeah, there's Dave making everyone sick. And I thought Will Brown sounded a little bit not great at the end of today's race, so I wonder if he's going to be sick this week. But it's like, oh yeah, Dave's hugging everyone and he's going to make everyone sick. But Dave had an aggressive warm-up strategy, which, like I pointed out, I like that they interview the pole position drivers. He interviewed Mostert at Darwin. Did Mostert get pole in Darwin? I think he might have. That doesn't sound right. He did interview him, but I don't know why. The new tyre is harder to warm up. That's what Dave said. So yeah, people talking about that. But Dave made it sound like he really made sure to have a really strong first sector, which is what he did. Brock Feeney did it today as well. Brock Feeney warmed up his tyres a lot, and then he braked later into the first corner into the hairpin for turn 2, and made a 3/10 gain there on the next guy. So, which was Anton. So yeah, really good. Then we come the Saturday race. You got the Evans, Golding, Randall, Waters, Stanaway crash, where Waters span around. Everyone sort of checked up, and Golding gets bumped into the fence really hard. And Evans, for some weird reason, got some steering damage, which I just thought was a bit shocking, because I thought, how'd that happen? Because he got turned by Randall, smashed into Waters pretty hard. So he had some steering damage, but it looked like the wheel was way off. So maybe that's just a bit sensitive with these cars. Who knows? Perkout ran wide at one point. Brown running Murray wide. Yeah, so hang on, this is what Saturday. So Brown screwed up his shootout lap, so he started like 10th or something, and ran Cooper Murray wide. So like Erebus had pace, but some of the other drivers coming back through the field were really aggressive and kind of made the weekend harder for the other guys who usually don't have good weekends. They had a worse time. Randall had some damage from that crash. Something fell off the front, they said. Or he reported. Aaron Cameron runs Kai Allen wide on the way through, letting Chaz Mostert through. So Aaron Cameron had pace, and James Courtney had pace, which was really good. Brody runs JC wide. Brody runs JLB wide, letting JC through. It was a pretty confusing set of events because there was a lot going on there. There was a lot of like really aggressive racing where I thought, oh gee, that's not fair. They've run this person off track, or they've let some other guy through, so someone's dropped 2 spots. I didn't think that was all that fair, but it's racing until somebody punts someone off, and then it's like, yeah, you get a penalty for that. So maybe that probably explains the racing rules these days, is that you can get away with a bit. You can run a guy off, but if you damage him, if you bump into the back of him, which I'm just about to talk about now, Brown tags Davo, pushing his rear bumper on the way past. He was really aggressive on that move in the hairpin, right on the back of him, pushed his rear bumper onto his back tyre, and ruined his race. Then Courtney has the engine failure. There's a bit going on into that second to last corner on the Saturday race where Courtney's engine died, so people are sort of getting out of the way of that. And then Davo's slowing down into the pits, and then Heimgartner tags him, and so he spins. So really crap day for Davo there, and a really crap Sunday as well. So I think he had an okay Friday. So really rough. Then 4 drivers stay out under the safety car, which is the second one, because the first one was for Golding, and the second one here is for James Courtney's engine failure. So Anton, Cooper Murray, Ryan Wood, and Bryce Fullwood stay out under safety car. They used to talk about it like it was a mistake, like if you have to double stack, they used to say. But I guess we get enough time under safety car that people don't lose much, or at least the safety car doesn't pick up those drivers that stay out, because I think it's the only way that you would actually get a benefit out of staying out, which they seem to do. They seem to come back into roughly where they were. Pit 1 lap later under the safety car. Yeah, I just said that. Mostert bumps JLB wide on the way through. Yeah, so we saw that in the highlights where, because Mostert started so far back, he was bumping people past on his way through, and Will Brown was doing it as well. I think Brock Feeney was the only one who's such a clean racer. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the driver's driver this year, because he was just he's not bumping people out of the way on the way to win the championship. He's being precise with his moves. He's not trying to bump him out of the way when he's doing it, which I don't think anyone's trying to. But if they feel like they're struggling with the car a lot, which Brown was struggling more than Feeney all weekend, he was always behind Feeney. Maybe he was just pushing that bit harder, and Feeney had the confidence to not make those aggressive moves. 5-second penalty to Will Brown for for ruining Davo's race. No changes to Brody's car for this race, they said. So, which is interesting, right? Because by the end of the weekend, we're talking about how Brody always goes backwards in the race. They start off really fast at the start of the weekend and then get progressively worse. So no changes on the Saturday. Well, maybe they should be looking at some changes. Waters gets released in front of Allen under investigation, because it looked like it was perfect. It looked perfect, but I think Allen, I don't know if we saw if Allen hit the brakes, but that might have been it. Lap 22, David Reynolds looks like he's got some understeer. As we were saying, I guess he didn't have quite as pointy a car. He just drove it really well in the shootout. And then he has problems in the race, and he drops back to 7th or 10th or something. He had no pace. 5 seconds to Waters for the unsafe release. I don't think we got any vision of what happened there, but that's what happened. Bryce Fullwood locked up trying to pass Andre, but Andre blocked him. Andre locks rears, tags Hill. Fullwood runs into Andre. This is when Andre span Cameron Hill, which I guess what I was talking about before with guys like Andre and Will Brown struggling for pace, is that they were driving the car a bit hard, putting desperate moves on and costing themselves results. So then Waters, Aaron Cameron, and Richie Stanaway doing some bumper car stuff. They were all bumping into one another, and in the back section of the race, well, not the back section, but the last couple corners of the track. I think for one or two laps. And then I put a note: does the soft tire encourage harder racing? I think that was the idea of it, right? The idea of the new soft tire is that we get that harder racing. We get guys having a go, putting these desperate moves on, and it seems to have been paying off. Then we got Percat passes Cameron, bumping as he goes. So a lot of people just bumping into one another as they're going through the race. Percat had no pace, but I think Aaron Cameron was just involved in this aggressive racing pretty much all through the weekend. Someone's bumped into him, he's bumping into someone else, and then somebody like Percat is running his own race, catches up and passes him, and bumps him as well. Then Andre gets the 15 seconds for turning Cameron Hill. Macca Jones and Kai Allen lock wheels, putting Kai Allen in the fence. That was a weird one. It was interesting. I think that they called that one a racing incident, which it was. It was just sort of, we know that the wheel nuts are stupid, and so they lock up sometimes. Someone gets fired into the fence. Luckily, it wasn't worse for Kai Allen. He managed to get off pretty light on that one. Then there's a slide for Brody, and in the, I think it was it last corner, second to last corner, and so Mozzie was able to get through. It was a slide into the dirt, I think, and he came back, and then Mozzie was right in the back of him, so he got past to turn 2. Then Anton pits for clear air, and he was, they said he was being held up, which is what happens when you qualify in the mid pack. And then they had a monster moment for Mostert. Ran wide into the grass in that. I don't know what corner it is, but it's that one, this big sweeping corner they go through, and he's just run wide. Feeney got pain in the pits earlier, so just the faster pit stops by 888, and Grove struggled in the pits, and that's what Stephen Grove said today, was that they've got a decent enough car where they can really challenge the front runners, but they're not fast enough, and they're not quite good enough in the pits. So all they got to do is they need to just dot the I's and cross the T's, and then they're winning. All right. Mostert had a mini stall in the pits, did not help him. But obviously this is the race where he's coming back through the field, so not helping him very much. Kylan had a lockup. Brody, the right rear, might not be on correctly. They got away with it. They did get a penalty though. I think I've got that later. I didn't write it down because that one came out. Came out afterwards. I read about it. Then they got some big battles. Brown versus Kostecki, a nice battle. Payne versus Mostert, and Mostert did the SVG thing of sort of not quite going through the last corner very quickly, so that Payne has to wait for Mostert to get through the corner, and they both go slow. But Mostert gets the advantage of track position. So, yeah, you learn it from the best. Used tyres for Davison for the final stint, which is interesting. I think they said that was the set that got ruined by Brown. So they must have found another tyre that was good enough. And put that one on for his last stint. Which is fine because I think his race was ruined anyway. Reynolds runs wide, and there's an issue for Percat late race. We didn't really hear about it, but they just struggled in general. Power steering gradually failed 20 from the end for Mostert. That's what he said. Now he might be wrong. It might not have been 20 laps from the end, but we did see he was really coming for Brock, and then he started to fade away at the end there. And then I put Big Brock energy because we had Big Dave energy on the Saturday for qualifying in the shootout, and then we had Big Brock energy in the race. Came through and won. So yeah, really, I think they fixed up qualifying for the Saturday. It wasn't too bad. Ryan Wood battling mechanical gremlins all weekend so far. That's what he said at the end of the race. So that was interesting. I think they managed to tidy it up on the Sunday. I don't think we heard too much about issues for the Sunday, but I'll get to it in my notes because I would have written it down. Then we got post-race penalties. Cameron Hill got 5 seconds for hitting Jones in the pits, but Jones got 25 seconds for breaching the pit lane speed limit. So that's interesting. I don't know if that was the same stop or if it was different stops, but yeah, tough penalty, 25 seconds for that. But rules are rules. Sunday qualifying, Reynolds forced to use a used set if he gets into the shootout, which he did not. Garth said, don't change your car too much and don't make mistakes, which a lot of people were making mistakes all weekend. It was crazy how many mistakes people were making. And so in qualifying on the Sunday, he had a slide for Mostert, which didn't cost him, but he had a slide for LeBrock, which did cost him. Got more greens for the drivers who didn't get out of Q1 on the Sunday, on the Saturday. So that's interesting. And I talked about the tyre situation before, how people manage them. You only got a limited amount of tyre sets. Will Davison was saying at the end of the weekend that he was qualifying in the 10, which is really good, but he didn't have great tyre set. He was running used for the shootout, which to get in the shootout's great. So you start at least 10th even if you screw it up. So getting to Q2, Brody Kostecki decides not to go for his final run, which was I want to say similar to Cam Waters' thing on the whatever day it was, I think Friday. But it's not. It's a bit different. They're done their lap. I think they're done a 13 flat, and I thought that is not fast enough to get through to the shootout. Randall did another lap, and he did a 12.7. He was top. He was at the top, and he did another lap. So Brody definitely should have gone through, but then he said, "Oh, it's all right. We've got what did he say? He said something. I'm not sure what he said. Will Davison might have been held up by Forward. Brody Kostecki said he's still battling steering issues all weekend. But he said something about why it wasn't a bad thing that he didn't get in the shootout. I think they had used tires anyway. They were going to run a used set, so they were going to be down the back end. They weren't going to be going for pole. All right, then we get into the Sunday shootout. Greens for Anton, slide off, wheels in the dirt. But he still started third. And they had the issues with the timing. And, people talk about, the drivers don't have personalities and stuff like that. And because they had the timing issues, Crompo and Scaphy were saying, could you read us out the time? What time did you do? ADP goes, yeah, it's an 11. I thought that was so good. So, yeah, right, mate. That was funny. So Waters was the first one out in the shootout. It was a dirty track, used tires possibly, and he said he didn't quite get the ideal lap down. Mostert was struggling for grip. I don't know what tires he used, if he used greens, because I imagine he might have had another set from when they didn't get into quality. They didn't get into when they started down the back, whatever race it was. I'll have to write all of this down. There's a lot to write down in my Excel spreadsheet, but yeah. Ryan Wood had used tyres, made a mistake at 3 in the first chicane, which I think that's what he said. Will Brown had used fronts and green rears, which I thought was interesting because he'd made that costly error, which you torch one tyre, which means you can't use another tyre unless you're going to run 3 tyres, which I think Feeney did and Payne did on the Saturday. And Brown had a slide at turn 2. With a little slide through that turn 2.5 with the kink. So Feeney had a full set of greens in the shootout. Randall had used tyres, which if Waters had used tyres, he did really well in qualifying. When I think about people using used tyres in the shootout, I always think of Todd Hazelwood in 2021 in the Pizza Hut car. He just stabbed it into fourth. He just said, the tyres are going to get progressively worse, so I'm going to bang it as hard as I can and give it as much as I can in the first sector. And he just hung on, and he got a great result. He got a great qualifying position, which at that point in time, he really needed to get a deal done for 22. Um, Davison had used tyres, like I talked about earlier, and a wheel spin on the final turn. So it did not help. Probably would have really affected that how we went on the straight, on the main straight at the end there. And Matt Payne had 3 greens and he put it on the front row. I think his lap just wasn't quite that great either. It was good, but if he had, I sort of expected him to do a much closer time to Feeney. He was just better than Anton, and I think Anton ran a set of greens because he didn't do very well on Saturday. Then we got the race. So lock up for Will Davison straight away. Reynolds runs wide. I think I said Reynolds got run wide. So I saw some really aggressive racing. I don't know who ran Reynolds wide. And somebody ran Aaron Cameron wide. And I talked about Aaron Cameron, I think, in the Saturday race. Guy had speed, but he was just, I don't know if I want to say if it was his fault or maybe it's just the better way to race. But he was just getting fed out. He was in the wrong spot at the wrong time, pretty much. Other cars were faster, but qualifying further back. Aaron Cameron was actually doing a really good job qualifying all weekend. He was 12th, 13th, doing a great job. Tommy Randall losing spots, battling and giving space to Brown and Mostert. I think Scafie was saying that Randall was being too nice. It's because he let Waters through, and I thought, I don't think that's true. I think he's just, when you're battling someone, you're not focused on just doing the lap. You're worrying about where the other car is and trying not to get fenced. And he just didn't have the car speed to do the job. So that was that. Brody bumps Kai Allen at the last turn. And Payne runs Anton off, which I thought that was rude. Like, there's a little bit of rude racing going on this weekend. And like Anton was aggressive at the start, but then when he started to drop back, I think like you don't need to run him off. Like, it's a bit rude. So I don't think Matt Payne's going to get the driver's driver, but I think Feeney is. Feeney is driving. Even when he qualifies down the back and he comes through, he's not running anyone wide or anything. He's just doing a great job. Like, he's pretty much being Thomas Randall, but faster. Although Randall has this year, he's always involved in incidents. This year and last year, he's always involved in something. Feeney, not so much. There's nothing he's done wrong. Then you got early stop for Cam Waters on lap 14. That was interesting. So we got 70 lap races. Cam Waters stops lap 14, and we have seen like really early stops from certain teams, like Blanchard's when they had Tim Slade. They used to do it all the time, and they would just pit early, run deep, run long, and just be by themselves for most of the race, be in the right position at the end. That's all they had to do. But and Waters sort of got away with it. He had a pretty. I think they knew they didn't have the pace to run with the front runners, so they undercut him, and it worked. I'm gonna have some cordial. Then I saw when Brody Kostecki pitted on lap 15. It was difficult to work out when people pitted because Feeney was that far ahead that it was hard to work out what lap it was. I think when Waters pitted, it wasn't too bad, but by the time Brody pitted, I was like, it says lap 17 on the thing. What lap is he pitting on? And I was like, I guess it was the end of lap 15 because it's not like he started the next lap. So, but Brody was in the biffo in the back and did not have the pace on the, pretty much just getting worse and worse. And at one point really just had no pace for some reason late in the race. Jack LeBrock pitted for green rears. That was interesting. And then started going for fastest laps, which I guess that was their strategy. They knew they were going to go for the 3-stop, but JLB was was driving really hard and setting fastest laps. And Barry stuck his hand up. He said, "I screwed up. I miscalculated the fuel strategy." So in that last stint, he probably would have had to get JLB to slow down a little bit. But once you've dug yourself that hole, it's going to be so hard to get out in that last stint. So yeah, and especially when he qualified down the back, like I think he finished 15th or something, but yeah, just not good. Matt Payne overshot his pit base slightly, and we thought that they were putting more fuel in his car. But what it looked like was that Groves actually just weren't doing their fuel properly, which I think has happened a bit this year. And they talked about it at the end. I think it was Dave Couch. He said, yeah, it's the coupling. They just didn't do the coupling right. Stephen Grove hadn't got that memo. And so he said, oh, we think it's something to do with air in the thing or something. But no, it's just the way it gets coupled. It's a tricky thing. Maybe the hole that feeds the air through needs to be bigger hole, but who knows? Yeah, so they just sort of from the pit strategy for Grove Racing, they probably didn't have a car to get the win, but they probably had a car to get on the podium. But yeah, just the issues with the fuel and the pits were just ruined it for him. Will Davison's race got ruined by the right front not being on properly. It was weird, that one. So they had no wheel nut. So either it wasn't put on properly and the wheel nut flew off, or something else. So Garth said that thread may not be good for the next wheel. So that was an interesting point that he made, is that maybe it's just they over tightened it, and so it's threaded it, and then the wheel nuts come off, and then the wheel itself's come off. And so Garth said they should have had a look at it before they put that new wheel on. But they didn't. And I guess I'll talk about it now, but DJR have apparently got a whole new crew. They got not just new drivers, new engineers, but new mechanics. And I'm not completely convinced that that's the right way to go. They just do they just cleaned out house, and you go, why? Why did you just clean out house? Now you've got star drivers, star engineers, but no star mechanics. And so that's going to cost you. Like, you pretty much have to train up a whole new group. So of course you're not going to be right up the front. Like, there's a reason why Brody and George, when they were at Erebus, were doing so well, is because they had great mechanics that had been at Erebus for a long time. So kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you don't fully understand what's going on. But I think they were pretty calm about it as well. Like, they sort of knew what they were going into. They wanted a new start. They probably knew they were going into a brand new situation and were starting from scratch. And yeah, slow fuel rate for both Penrite cars. Already talked about that. Then we had a big battle between Stanaway and Allen. So that was interesting. We saw a big battle going on. It was pretty nice. They were giving each other space. And then the camera cuts away. And a little bit later, we see this replay of Kai Allen coming over the curb and then banging into the side of Richie. And later on, Richie just didn't have the pace in the race, and he dropped behind Golding. And I thought, that's weird, because Richie was coming through the field. He had pace, and he was there with Allen, and Allen finished like 11th or something. And then Richie drops away. So maybe Richie torched the tires, he burned them up. But yeah, I don't know. All right, so yeah, a battle between Stanaway and Allen, and then you've got Reynolds, Andre, and Golding with the last to stop. So I guess that helped Golding, possibly, but Richie might have had an issue. He didn't talk about having a specific issue in the race. He talked about it just being another struggling day for them, because Jimmy was like, "Hey, I finished the race. How good's that?" And Richie was like, "Yeah, we've just been struggling for ages." And which is interesting when you got a guy like Ludo Lacroix. Why this guy isn't able to make things work for him. And Premier were hyping themselves up. They said, "Oh, we've got the fastest cars on the straights at Darwin, so we're going to have fast cars on the straights at Townsville. Watch out." Yeah. No. They looked like they had a fast car for Stanaway today, but the rest of the weekend, nowhere. I think Saturday they qualified way down the back, and I thought that is terrible. Not good. JC gets spun by Reynolds. Brown had a spinning wheel on departure, but nothing came of that. Probably because the spinning wheel thing is if it's spinning before it goes down, then that's dangerous. If it's just spinning, he drops, puts the foot down, wheel spin, that's fine. So I don't know why Crompo mentioned that. And I'm not here to have a go at the commentators. I know, I'm sure Scott Pye's got a stream going on himself with Apex Hunters, and they often complain about the commentators and say, "Oh, the commentary's boring, blah blah blah," stuff like that. And I think it's because we're used to it, right? We're used to these guys, and maybe maybe people will complain about Crompo's little thing with Mozzie on the number of positions he gained in Saturday. Because that meant Crompo had to do 15 push-ups, but he did 17 instead. And then Mozzie made the joke "Oh, you're gonna how many push-ups are you gonna do?" Crompo said, "Hopefully none. I was hoping you'd get pole." So there's that. So yeah, Reynolds got 15 seconds for tagging JC. So yeah, not a great weekend for the Blanchards in terms of they had pace, but they couldn't capitalize on it. Mainly because JC had the engine failure in the Saturday race, and Aaron Cameron just kept on getting shoved around all weekend, which is difficult. But yeah, just really aggressive racing. We did see that a fair bit with Brock Feeney in his rookie season. "Oh, you're in the 888 car. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. We want this spot." Cam Waters and Chaz Mostert pushing past. Then Richie lost some time to Allen. I did talk about that. Brody was given a bump by Cam Hill on the way past. I think I wasn't paying attention at that particular moment, so I could be wrong. And then Cameron Hill has this brake issue, which turned out to be a bit of debris, just got caught in the wheel. And what kind of thing was it that got stuck in it? Was that a rock? What was it? Something's just gone in there, gone in the brake dart, and just wrecked the inside front of the car. So yeah, that was tough. Golding was apparently talking about some brake fades, so they're having some mechanical issues at Premiere as well. Not just car setup issues, but just sort of everywhere, which makes you think that what is going on at that team? We've got 888 South Groves where they've got things pretty good because they got David Couchies, they got Grant McPherson, Alistair McVeigh. They've got really good guys there. And Groves are running a really good operation where they're sort of taking a back seat in terms of running the team. They're trying to sort of say, we want to do what 888 are doing. How do we do that? And that's what they're doing. Premier are sort of trying to copy 888's homework without doing the work and understanding what's going on. That's what it seems like to me. They're like, "Oh, we'll just have 888 cars." And then it kind of worked for a bit because they were just like, "Oh, we're going to have the latest spec 888 car." And so they were really fast. Yeah, I could go into so much about Premier. I'm going to stop myself before I rant, and then we're gonna finish going through the weekend. So Brody just had no pace at the end there. Stanaway, something happened. He just started dropping spots. I think Brody got past him, Golding got past him, Reynolds got past him. It was like, what the hell is going on, Richie? You were on and now you're off. And then I said, what happened to Cooper Murray? We didn't really get a full story there with what happened to Cooper. Apparently Erebus did a 3-stopper, but we don't know if that was both cars. We know definitely Jack LeBrock did 3 stops. Because Barry Ryan said that's what they did. But we don't know if Barry was talking about both Erebus cars, so we don't really know. Chaz Moster said he lost some turn in the first stint, but it was good in the second and third stint. So that was interesting there. Like maybe they made a change. We probably would have heard about it because he was a front runner. Jack LeBrock ran out of fuel at the end. And that I think I already talked about this. Just screw that up. So then we get up to the fun bits of the weekend. Belt buckle trophies. Like what? I was like, what are these little box trophies they've got? They're like, yay, thanks for the race. I didn't realize that they were belt buckles, and some of the guys were talking about wearing them. I think Brown was talking about wearing them. Anton was saying, "Oh, we're going to wear it at the Team 18 dinner on Tuesday." That was interesting. And this was Shane Howard's last round as CEO, so he handed the trophy to Brock Feeney. And so I wanted to take this moment to talk about Shane Howard's legacy in Supercars. So we've got a couple things. So Shane Howard came in, what we call at the end of COVID, I guess, vaguely. I think it was at 2021 or 22, maybe the end of 21. Sean Seamer announced he was leaving as CEO, so they started doing a search to find the next CEO. And then they were like, we're going to put Shane Howard up. He's been around long enough. It's his turn. And so Shane Howard came in. I don't think anything was too much of a big deal. It got a new TV deal had already been negotiated by Sean Seamer, which is a COVID deal, so you can't really complain about it. I saw Scott Pye was talking about like, oh, we need more rounds, we don't need more races. And I thought that's just. I know they're like these guys talking at the bar, just talking shit, and that's fine. But I disagree. I disagree with okay. More rounds would be great. I would do it differently, the way that things are structured. But so anyway, main point is that the Friday race is great. The Friday race meant that Friday night, I go home from work, some plans had fallen through. I had the night to myself. I was just going to watch the racing, and it was going to be a good time. So I watched practice 2, qualifying 2, the Friday race. So I felt like I just had so much Supercars action on the one day, just going through it. And I was like, wow, how good is this? And it was a short race, and they're talking about, oh, you don't get very many points for the Friday race. And I thought, well, at least you get some points. And we actually did see the championship picture change. I think Anton got deeper into the top 10, and Matt Payne overtook Will Brown because Will Brown screwed up qualifying so badly. So I don't see an issue with it. Yeah, you don't get as many points, but you get more points for the bigger races. So Bryce Fuller was talking about how, we're just not getting qualifying right on the Sunday, which is like the big points race. There is still 300 points for the full weekend. So if you do a clean sweep, you get 300 points plus 5 points for fastest lap per race if you're in the top 10. And so there's that. But yeah, I think the Friday race is fine. So Legacy of Shane Howard. So we've got the double header with New Zealand coming up next year. We've got Taupo. We've got rollout of Gen 3. We can all agree 2023 was a disaster. The Fords would qualify in the top 10 pretty regularly, and then they'd overcook the rear tires because of the way that things were worked out. And it was pretty rough until we got to Tail End Bend, which happened to be a Ford track, which are there certain tracks in 2023 were Ford tracks. You got Perth, where Courtney and Reynolds both got podiums. Then you got Tail End Bend, where Randall was up the front all weekend. Mostert was up the front at one point. Percat was up the front at one point, which for that year in 2023 was for WAU and Percat's last year at the team because they had such a bad time. That was a good time for him that weekend. He actually felt like he had something to play with. And yeah, so there was that. Rollout of Gen 3 wasn't great. Could you blame Shane Howard for that? They have like these. It's so tricky, right? It's so tricky where they've only got as much information as they have. And it's really hard to work it out. And I know the teams were doing their own tests and saying, well, we've done this and, we should be doing better, but we're not. So we know we're overcooking the rear tires, blah, blah, blah. And they kept saying it and kept squealing, and Ford was putting pressure on them. And then they went and tested things, changed things. Oh, the Camaro is actually faster heading into Townsville. Anyway, long story short, Gen 3 was a bit of a screw up. Just the introduction was a bit of a screw up, which we learned a lot. We do much more rigorous testing these days. We used to do the VCAT test, used to be fine. I think it was 2019. They had to, I think since 2020 to 2022, parity was pretty much achieved. You're driving a Mustang, you're driving a Commodore, no issue. But in Gen 3, where they say the cars are so similar, that it's so tricky. But anyway, Shane Howard's legacy. Well, we've got a new TV deal coming up. I don't know if it's been negotiated or what the deal's going on with that. I think we've almost got the deal done. I think it's still pretty vague about the TV deal. So it hasn't been announced yet. But I think Shane Howard hasn't been a bad CEO. Personally, I like Sean Seamer better because the way he responded to COVID was better than any motorsport in the world. He just went, we're gonna do an E-Series where every main game driver is gonna be in it, and that was brilliant because I had that on TV and I thought, this is great. This is, at least we're getting something. If we can't have real life racing, at least we're getting all the same people and we're having a laugh. And it was really interesting because you had Anton De Pasquale battling Scott McLaughlin for the championship in 2020, which is really weird. And then we had guys like Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Like, we capitalized big time. MotoGP shit the bed. Formula One shit the bed. Supercars beat them in 2020. And that was Sean Seamer. So Shane Howard, not the best CEO. Not as good as Sean Seamer. That's what I think. Bryce said he had some damage from lap 1. I don't remember seeing it, but there was a lot going on. Barry Ryan said that Erebus also had some bad pit stops, and that also cost them in today's race. And that's all I got. So now I can actually go through some other things that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so first I need... Oh, hang on. This is good. I can do that. Alright, so I'm gonna share. How do I do this? I had some pictures. Okay, I'll just. Well, let's have a look at what I've got going on here. How many pictures have I got? Am I gonna accidentally show some porn? No, there does not seem to be anything too crazy. Alright, cool. File Explorer. We've got this bad boy going on here. I don't know what's going on there. It doesn't want to show you the thing. No. Not now, hang on. What am I doing? I guess it doesn't want to show that for some reason. That's weird. Oh wait, there we go. There we go. Okay, we go. So, we already talked about Kosteki. Oh, what's going on there? What we got going on? Is this? That's interesting. Okay, so that's going through the Brody Kosteki thing. Okay, I see. Courtney, rough weekend. I got some other pictures. Fullwood, good. We've got Davison, just unlucky. Unlucky weekend for Will Davison. He did such a good job and he was unlucky. Yeah. Matt Payne just didn't have the pace for the win. Randall wasn't really anywhere. He did okay. What else we're looking at? Stano, I talked about Premiere. I could go on a rant about Premiere, I suppose. What else we got going on? Brock. Yeah. All right. Okay. There were some things I didn't actually write down a list of things I wanted to talk about, which is interesting. Which is actually, it's not interesting. It's annoying. It's annoying for me. All right, so I finished going through my notes, which is great because there's a lot of notes to go through. I have some general pictures that I quickly downloaded before I started because I did this stream a bit differently. I thought, okay, I need to do a bit of preparation here. Yeah, so here we are. We've got. Let's show this one there. Yeah, so we've got Anton Brody and Cam Waters on the podium in the Friday race. And that was great. And then you got the little boxes that they've got for trophies. Just funny, like imagine, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like destroy this trophy. It's just like, oh, okay. Or if it's got screws in the back or whatever it's got. Sort of like it's a bit annoying. KO Sports champagne bottles, that's interesting. So they don't have a champagne sponsor as far as like an actual champagne brand. But they got, I think we've also in the past had like Foxtel champagne bottles. So that's probably why they put KO Sports. There's still a Foxtel related thing. So there's that. Cam Waters had an okay weekend as far as like as far as that went. Hang on, I need to go through, let's go through some of the results because that's just nuts. Let's go to Supercars website. I need to go to season results, yes. Oh, and freaking like, oh, we've got a headline grabbing thing now. Oh, when's Toyota gonna have their track debut? Wow, reveals Toyota supercar track debut target date. What, 6 hours ago? So this is what Ryan Walkinshaw said August. And wasn't there a special word? He used some special word that I had no idea what the word was. He didn't say. He did not say. Come at the second half of 2025, which is fine. But they said they have like a certain word which I cannot remember what it was. AVL said it today. I don't know what the word was. It was just a weird word. What else we got going? Just to go find it. So today's race results. Let's have a look at all the race results. So we know people screwed up in qualifying. There was a fair few screw ups during the weekend. So Jack LeBrock got a top 10, not too bad. Will Davison got a top 10, very nice. Brody got a top 10, very nice. Anton got a podium, we know this. Will Brown got a top 10, good job, Will. He gained more spots than Brock Feeney, but he started way further back. What else we're looking at? Forward in the top 5, very good. Forward's just having a great time. But did he have a great weekend? He did not get a top 10 on Saturday. He did on the Sunday, but it was late in the race. I was like, oh, he finished in the top 10. Okay, good job. Randall, 8th in that race. And nowhere in this. So, yeah. So, Waters, 2nd on the Friday. Nowhere on the Saturday because they had such a terrible Saturday. Then 4th on the Sunday. Yeah, nice clean day for them. Anton top 10, Anton top 10, Anton podium. So great weekend for Anton. Chaz, great weekend for him. Kai Allen, 1 top 10. Matt Payne up the front all weekend. Didn't necessarily have the pace to do the job, but yeah, good weekend. Pretty much Triple Eight got away with it. The qualifying, like pretty much Will Brown managed to not have a repeat of last year because he had a charge through the field last year from 13th on the Saturday, and on the Sunday started 17th and got sandwiched by Team 18. So tough time for him. What else? What else we got going? I was going to go on a rant about Premier Racing, actually, so I might as well have my rant. Do I feel like having a rant about Premier Racing? It's kind of hard to think about it. So we got that nice picture. What else we got pictures of? Instead of pictures of Townsville. That's not Townsville this year, is it? It says Townsville. But it's got Percat. Where's Percat there? Percat GT and Chad Maitland hanging out, having a chat. Here, this one's. It's a picture of what must have been. Was this a Saturday race? All right, I'll show you that. I'm almost exhausted myself talking about the weekend. But Reynolds just had that moment in the sun, really. He had that moment where he was shining brilliance. Jack LeBrock did quite well as well. He had his moment of brilliance. I thought it was interesting they had Hope Energy on the headlights there when I don't think they had them on the car the previous rounds. But I don't have a lot of pictures at the moment, so I got to get more pictures, get my pictures sorted, talk about some different stuff. And I might check my phone to see if I actually took any notes, which would be very helpful. Because I do have some things to talk about. Let's get rid of KO. We're done with KO for the weekend. Notes. Okay, not notes for Townsville. We're done with Townsville. I'm pretty sure there's not a whole lot to say. I already said pretty much everything I could think of. That is a shopping list. That is not Supercars stuff. Okay. James Warburton's Vision and Impact versus Sean Seamer and Shane Howard. That is a complicated thing. I can't think of anything to say about that. Okay, here we go. Got Ford and Chev tracks. top Ford and top Chevy, which is a thing I would love to go in and break down. But I feel like that's something that I want to prepare before I show people. So yeah, I don't know. It looks like this is just me tonight anyway. So maybe I will just chill and do it. So, but we'll go. Okay, there's a few things. So Scott Pye actually brought it up. Was it last weekend? Was it this week? Maybe it was last weekend. Where he talked about night street races. I think he and what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Elliot Barber. They were talking about a night street race. Like, that's what you do on a Friday, but instead it was at 3 o'clock. Like, I'm at work, mate. No, I know some people finish at 5, but by the time everybody's finished work, even some people who start early and finish late, they're the only people, like people who have taken the day off to watch it. So like, oh, we'll go to Friday race. It should be a night race. I was talking about this with my workmate. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go find a nice picture. Let's talk about hang on. Supercars night race, Gold Coast. They're talking about doing a Gold Coast night race. Go to Google Images. So yeah. There. Okay, hang on. Just gonna save that nice picture there, put it in. So hang on, we can't. Alright, we'll go into Speed Cafe and we'll have that nice picture there. Alright, yeah, so I'll change what I'm showing to the night race thing and we'll talk about night racing for a hot second. Okay, so back in what's this, 2022, the end of 22. So Gold Coast night racing back on the cards for Supercars. Under lights back on the cards for conversations. Derailed entirely when the pandemic stuck. Yeah, it wasn't going to be a we'll see if we can have a look at that article. The idea of a night race, depending on additional funding. That doesn't make any sense. You don't need more money to turn lights on. Well, apart from you need to buy better lights, but yeah. You just have lights hooked up to the side, right? And if someone crashed into the fence, it might knock the light out. Then you put another one back on, so you have a few spares around the place. But the issue that I saw with night racing, hang on, why has it got the same picture twice? Okay. Anyway, so the biggest problem with night racing on streets is we've got these things called noise restrictions. Like, you know, in your local suburb, you can't be making too much noise until like 7 in the morning. You got to start doing it. You got to do it between certain hours, I think. And so that could be a factor. That could be why we don't have these. Why we don't have not like night racing for supercars. It's because of the noise restrictions. And then I thought, well, we have concerts, and the concerts are always pretty loud. So, and that noise travels, like it's loud. But so I don't fully get why we don't have street night racing. I get the idea of like, oh, we need more funding for the lights, but how much money is that actually? What kind of budget is that? Is that just what, 10 grand to get half decent lights pretty much everywhere? And we've seen supercars night races where, you know, the cars have got candles at the front. That's what Frosty said about them. So, you know, it's just like we don't know. Me tripping everything out. So there's this other article where they start talking about we're definitely going to have a Gold Coast night race. Why is it doing the double photo? That must be a weird thing that it's doing with old articles, because they did like break their website like a year ago. A night racing spectacular under lights on Friday and Saturday night with a twilight race planned. Yeah, I remember that. Revised 14-round 2020 calendar. And that, like, what was going on with that? Look at Sean Seamer being the best CEO, right? We were cooking. We were going to have the best time. Getting rid of those ones. Looks to condense its calendar while working American night race in Sydney Motorsport Park after it was dropped for 2019. Anyway, that's not what we want. I got distracted. Failed to lock in the night race for next year. So they didn't get it, but they're still talking about, yeah, we're definitely going to do it. One of the things also, I have to figure out how to reinvigorate the Gold Coast event as it needs a shot in the arm. I think that's exactly what we need to do. That's what he's saying. They've done the lighting plan, the layout plan, and source the lights. There. So why not? Why not? It's just probably some political issue, right? Community consultation. So that's the issue, right? You got to go through local council. And we know these days, like with the Perth Street Circuit stuff, the local mayor is kicking up a fuss because they're a moron and they don't know anything. You know, you can't help with that. They got rid of Newcastle because they wanted to put a new roundabout in, and you know, that's just, you know, sometimes local communities need things more important than having a nice supercars race. So that's fine. A full-time community manager here anyway. They've already started discussions with residents off the back of things today. We'll work through that, make sure they're doing the right thing by the residents, and get the schedule locked down as soon as possible. So look at all that stuff they did. Robust test prior to the race at other venues, with testing restricted due to the Gold Coast Street Race circuit's temporary nature. So they can't do it because obviously they haven't got all the fences up. Time between now and the 2020 event to get out and test some of the lighting and how we're going to install the towers. Go for some pretty robust tests. Alright, so what happened in 2020? Derailed by the pandemic, yes. Anything about the night racing was actively discussed. Getting the conversation back on track. Looks like there's not a lot to say. Okay, the original plan for the event was to feature 489 light towers around the Surfers Paradise circuit, enabling Supercars to host its first ever night street race. It was proposed at the time that all 3 days of track action would contain some form of night or dusk running, while Sunday's race would have finished at twilight. What a nighttime track schedule would look like now is not known, given the shift away from an enduro format on the Gold Coast to a pair of 250k races. Currently has 2 floodlit events at SMP and Wanneroo. So, there's that. My phone needs to shut up. So, yeah, there's no idea what's going on there. Right, so we've got that, right? Night races, Gold Coast. Why it's no longer on the cards? So V8 Sleuth did an article last year. I probably read it, but I don't remember. Okay. Once upon a time, Supercars was destined. Blah, 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 blah. Yes. Such a plan was touted for the 2020 edition, which did not proceed because COVID. Not on the cards for the foreseeable future or this term of the agreement through to 2027. Tim Watsford. Now, that was the guy who ended up leaving, right? He was supposed to be the CEO that was going to take over from Shane Howard. But Shane wasn't showing any signs of stepping away, so Tim went to do something else instead. And so we're getting James Warburton back, who's just rabbiting on about Asia, which it's been done. And okay, we'll talk about Asia in a bit. All right. So opportunity to show off the track in daylight before allowing fans to lap up the party scene after hours. Okay. All right. So it's a marketing thing. That's why they just need to be. They want to advertise supercars as how great it is on the Gold Coast, and Gold Coast is great. Gold Coast just go like that through that back chicane. It's great. And the world is such a good marketing tool. Okay, I didn't read that from the right bit, but yeah, he's using it to sell supercars. That's fine. So from our perspective, come to a really good solution activating the night through the Club 500. The team are busy working on one next year in the year for the nighttime component, but we're going to leave that as a daytime fixture. So who's that? That's because we don't have Sean Seamer, right? After Sean Seamer left, no more Gold Coast night race. So there you go. But now we've got Friday races, so it could be that that's going to come back possibly for the street circuits, but especially because the Friday race, like I don't think I can take a day off of the Adelaide 500 on the Friday. I got work, I got stuff to do. I haven't got anyone that can replace me for the day, so I have to do it. Team busy working on this. Yeah, so yeah, no, that's why, which is annoying, really, because we want that. We were gonna have a night race, and basically because Sean Seamer's gone, that's why. The end. Yeah, and that's just for Gold Coast. We do have night races for. Let's get rid of that. We have night races this year. Yeah, for Sydney Motorsport Park at the start of the year. That was it. What was it? Friday race and the Saturday race. But that was a Friday night race, right? The first race was a night race at SMP. So let's Google land. Supercars SMP 2025 night race. Friday night race. That's the only time we did it. All right. 7:50 p.m. race 1. That's great. The only problem I've heard about the Sydney night races is that it's freezing. Don't know what it's like in February, so maybe somebody could tell me what the deal is with that. But yeah, so Friday night races. Okay. 2024 October. We were waiting for. Was it this particular? We were waiting for a calendar. I don't think so. Sydney, Townsville, Adelaide feature Friday sprints. Yes. 3 race over 3 night format. Okay, yeah, but the last race was a daytime race. First race is under lights. Yep. And then not mentioned anything else. That's all they said. Because every time they release a new calendar, they release like 3 different articles to confuse everyone. Sweeping changes to the formats. So Sprint Cup and the Super 440s. It's confusing at times. Enduro Cup finals, Sprint Cup. The pictures are just not good enough. They're not doing it with the pictures. They've touched up the logos and they look a lot better, but yeah. So yeah, more racing, great. That's what we got. It's nice. And that's what we got. The Format 1, Format 2, and Format 3. Now, Format 3 is a top 10 shootout. We saw that at Townsville. We saw Friday race was Q1, Q2. Saturday, Sunday was Format 3. So, fastest in a single session, Euro Cups feature Format 1 for provisional pole prior to top 10 shootout. So, the traditional method is what we get at the Enduro Cup. Yeah. All right. What else? Let's Brody get top 10s in all the races. What's this? This is the first race. 21. And then just in 22, which I think he just dropped that far back. He didn't even get a top 10. They had an absolute stinker. No pace. 16th. And they just had nothing to say. So that's now let's look at the standings. So Brock is first in the championship. I don't know if this might not be fully up to date. Well, Ryan Wood's 10th like he should be. So, and Cameron Hill got knocked out by not scoring regular points. Thomas Randall is somehow hanging on, but he is slowly dropping down. He hasn't had, what did he have? The Friday, not the Friday race. What did he have? 13th on the Friday. Saturday, dead last, 21st. And then today, 8th. And I do want to show like a breakdown of points. Like who's scoring the most points? Like, I did have this thing where we're like, okay, so Thomas Randall is scoring, I think it was James Golding in 2018, scored like the 18th most points towards the back end of the season. And so he had enough points where he was scoring more points than his position in the championship, but he just wasn't that close anymore. But he had obviously done a noticeable improvement in his performances and his point scoring. So there's that. So what else we got going on? All right, so that's what's going on. Let's talk about. We're going to rabbit on about Premier, or we're rabbit on about Bahrain or something crazy. 2007, 2015. No. Alright, let's have a look at images. What's the one that we're talking about? Supercars. At Supercars at Singapore. No. V8 Supercars at Singapore. Here we go. So, yeah. Why Supercars wants to race in Singapore. And, people are doing YouTube videos talking about with arrows and numbers to talk about stuff. Someone's done a video where they're actually showing these cars racing at the track. That's cool. So Supercars in SG. Why are you confusing me with these silly abbreviations? That's Fan at the Fence. Back before he was Fan at the Fence. Right? Yeah, 2 years ago, Fan at the Fence. Alright, I need to show what I'm looking at so that people don't get mad at me. Yeah. Alright, so yeah. Alright. I have to go through my notes. So, Supercars in Asia. We had the round in China in 2005, and Tony Cochrane talked about how there was a plan to do there was a plan to have a Chinese V8 Supercar series in 2006 or 7 or something, and all the teams were going to be providing a car. They were going to be building a car for it, and the negotiations just didn't end up working out. But they had this plan for it, and so that was interesting. That little factor that came out. It was in V8 Sleuth. And another thing that Tony Cochrane said, because I think they were just talking about, these. I think he just talked about it because he just loves to talk, and he just said that people saying, oh, they don't make any money doing these overseas races, and he says, well, yeah, we do, from selling the freaking broadcasting rights, right? The money, it's already been sold. We get to sort of advertise supercars in these other countries. But people are saying like, oh, but nobody was at these races. Like, yeah, but people don't go to every single supercars race. So, like I go to 1 or 2 a year. That's what I do. I might go to Talon Bend, probably go on the Adelaide 500. It depends on how money goes, pretty much. And so that's sort of his point. Is like most people just go to 1 or 2 races a year. They don't go to every race. So this idea that every single round has to have lots of people at it is just sort of a silly thing. As long as it covers its costs, it's fine. The idea is to have a championship that continues to run its course. So the idea that you don't make any money going to Asia, it just costs money, Tony Cochrane says that's a load of rubbish. They did make money going to Asia. Why didn't they continue? Good question. Maybe they just couldn't get a deal through with the organisers, with the owners of the track. Maybe it was a calendar thing. I think there was one in 2010 or something. I'll look it up for a hot second. 2010 V8 Supercars Championship. So we'll see. Race calendar. I know. Maybe it was 2011. Bahrain stopped at some stage, and there was some sort of calendar reason, right? The Desert 400 was scrapped for V8 Supercar Stadium. The decision not to hold the event was because the circuit's international racing calendar was too full for an early season date. There you go. That's why. And I guess Supercars had already organised deals with every other race in 2011, so they couldn't do it. But they did do Abu Dhabi. So there we go. 2012. I think 2012 we had. Abu Dhabi, but it was later in the year. It wasn't the season opener. So there you go. They just had that one race. So they just didn't bring back Bahrain, I guess, because they wanted a certain time of year. Then they just didn't have Abu Dhabi in 2013. What articles Eastern Creek dropped for the calendar? So there's that. You got this is probably not going to take me anywhere if I click this link. Oh, here we go. So what do they say about Abu Dhabi? Notable changes are the return of the traditional Sandown 500 in September and the move of Abu Dhabi to November. The event will be a support to Formula One. So that's what they were doing in 2012, being a support to Formula One in Asia or in the Middle East. But they didn't renew it, which was interesting. Or the weekend after Abu Dhabi is FSTPC, what did it end up being? Sydney, right? On the official calendar issued today. Oh, the one afterwards. Which, what did we see? That was the end of it. Nothing else about, okay, also the Super 2 Championship. So they're worried about losing Hamilton there. Should Scaife wear both hats, continue racing and still chair the Supercars Commission? Well, he left the commission anyway. Well, actually, he stopped racing after 2011. That was the end of that. Should the 500 return to Sandown? No, it's an age-old question, isn't it? Why not? Just keep it going. Keep it going until they say can't, and then just do something else. Taylor Mend is always keen. All right. So no story on why Abu Dhabi was dropped. So here we go. The calendar was released. Oopsies. Let's talk about Eastern Creek dropped from 2013. Oh no, it's gone. All right. Let's try going back here. Because that's Autosport, and apparently they broke their website. Now, this is probably wrong because it's not the announcement website. That's the issue. Supercar Spearhead, support category of the Grand Prix. Is this one going to take us nowhere as well? No, this is fine. Okay. This is an announcement just about the Grand Prix. Andrew Westercott. Is he still doing it these days? Who knows? Alright, so yeah. No idea why Abu Dhabi. Supercars at Abu Dhabi. Let's find an article. Yeah, 2011 was great. Jason Bryant, James Courtney. 40 days until V8 said yes, Mariner. V8 Supercars confirms Abu Dhabi cancellation. 2013 been officially reduced to 14 events. Confirmation category will not be on the Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix support schedule this season or this year because they wanted to be on as a Formula One support. And this is James. Hang on, is this James Warburton? I think it might be. They went through like one or two guys until they got James Warburton. Bit of a weird time. A move by Formula One management to bring GP2 and GP3 to Yas Marina. CMB is a question. Yep. The news emphasized the role of F1 in the process and underlined a desire to return to the Middle East venue on an alternative date in 2014. Supercar CEO David Malone has always been clear there for automotive sides. Yeah, obviously. We were acutely aware of this when we announced the 2013 calendar, and then they made the decision in December. We thoroughly enjoy competing alongside Formula One. Absolutely comfortable with this news. Contingencies in place. We'll discuss the options, which may include racing on an alternate date to Formula One in 2014 as soon as possible. We have Richard Cregan and his team at Abu Dhabi Motorsport Management and a committed combined will to find an alternative solution that is for all. V8 Supercars will not replace the planned Abu Dhabi event, which will now give its teams a 3-weekend break. There are contingencies in place, and we will discuss the options. For 2014, not for 2013. Okay. So, yeah, they just wanted to be on the Formula One bill, and Formula One was like, no, we want F3 and F2. That's why. So, there you go. And so because that was the attitude of Supercars to be on the Formula One thing, they stopped being on it. Now, what happened with Bahrain? China was just like a 1-year deal. Bahrain to focus on. So they just haven't gone back, I guess. They just haven't gone back. Like Car of the Future keeping Wing Cup and V8s. What? That's funny. Bahrain to focus on local racing before V8s. CEO of the Bahrain International Circuit spoken to decide to build its domestic racing. Has hosted its own Supercars quotation marks championship. 2 different types of cars competing. The Walkinshaw Performance Chevy Luminas plus the newer range of cars SC09. Right. Having only held its first motor race in the country in 2004, the category is starting to gain a following. Right, there's also a significant increase in karting in the country in the past years. We need to feed it. So this whole exercise of having them is how long it takes to grow that history and foundations. They understand that the category didn't start 3 or 4 years. They had a long history of racing in the country. There was Peter Brock and Dick Johnson. They had a great head start. V8s can't come all the way to the Middle East for 1 or 2 races, and there are people who can't see the point. Other than the money and the great experience, it didn't make sense. Other than the money and the great experience. So Supercars was paying to go to the Middle East, but Supercars was doing well as well. So, like, you know, if you got money, you pay for the thing that you want. They just didn't see the benefit. The news of Bahrain's desire to hold off on hosting a Supercars event in the immediate future rules it out of joining the championship this year as its TBA round, yet to have a circuit allocated. Head back to the Middle East at Abu Dhabi. So Abu Dhabi got rid of Supercars because they wanted F2 and F3, and Bahrain. It's interesting. Can we have those conversations back? So, but I think what James Warburton is talking about is something else. He's talking about in Asia. Separate overseas series of vision. Yeah, okay. So, all right. So, after that, I'm going to that, and we'll show. Hang on. Here's the cars in Asia. Okay, there's that. This very nice. So yeah, there's the Malaysian one. So we could show that. I'll show the Malaysian thing, and then I'll go through my notes. I've got a few things to talk about when it comes to cars in Asia. All right, so Supercars targets standalone Asian-based series by 2027. Good old James Warburton being bold. All right, and I've got notes on what it is. So the Malaysian thing fell through because the Malaysian businessmen were dodgy. All right. Then we're hearing Asia doesn't want it. Asia has what? The TSS, Thailand Super Series. So there's a few things. Yeah, there's this idea that Asia doesn't want it. But if Warburton is convinced that, like, he's been talking to Asian business owners and they want to bring supercars to Asia, then that's why we're doing it. He says, "Oh, there's lots of, there's lots of potential there. That there are a handful of rich people wanting to run the Thailand Super Series, streamed on Speed Cafe, and it just wasn't that interesting." So there's this idea of the kit approach. So, like, we'll send you the gear, you run the championship. That's the idea. Like, yeah, you're going to have your own sponsors, you're going to have your own people doing it. So you do it however you want to do it. If you want to do 10 lap races, do 10 lap races. What's interesting was that there's also like circuit standards as well. So Supercars demands not Formula One level because the Supercars aren't that fast, but high level, FIA approved. I can't remember. There's a specific category of it that's why Queensland Raceway fell off the calendar, is because it wasn't very good. Perth was knocked off the calendar because it hadn't upgraded itself to maintain the standards expected by FIA. So that could be something like that. But I guess if you've got, like, maybe that's why Malaysia isn't in, like, Formula One doesn't go to Malaysia anymore, is because they just didn't upgrade the track anymore. Then there was talk about going to Thailand for Formula One. We've got the Singapore Grand Prix, which we're talking about it, but I think Formula One would probably do the same thing as they did in Abu Dhabi and prefer F2 and F3. So you got to assume Supercars has to go somewhere like, they just have to go somewhere where it works. And like, do you actually need to be on the Formula One calendar? Bahrain just said, well, we let Supercars come to Bahrain because they were paying to be there. So, and was the racing great? We raced there for years. Can I name a moment? There was that time where it was a Garth Tander and Rick Kelly crashed into one another. That was entertaining. What else? I think that was pretty much it. You got like great moments like at Abu Dhabi, where it's just like certain racetracks. But maybe I need to watch some Bahrain. There were races that happened. It was a very big track too, so maybe we could do that. I am a little bit gun shy now because my last stream was unavailable to Kiwi viewers from got blocked in New Zealand, and I thought, well, that's 20% of my viewership, so I can't allow that to happen. So I'm a bit unsure about showing footage of certain things. Like we could watch Bahrain, I guess. A little bit of Bahrain. Hey mate, you're back. You missed like 1.5 hours of me talking about Townsville, and then I talked about Asia. What else did I talk about? Stuff, just heaps of stuff. You'll be able to watch it later if you want. What'd you think of Townsville? Didn't get the notification. I don't know. Is that, maybe that's my fault. Maybe, I don't know. You have to, I want to say hit the bell icon, but I don't know. I set it up like 10 minutes before I started because I thought, screw it, I'll just start and I'll go for a few hours and see what happens. So yeah, I had notes talking at, well, that was a noise. Notes talking about Townsville. I took notes all weekend like a crazy person. The racing was interesting. A lot of stories going on. Bit of biffo at the start of the weekend. But interesting. Friday was weird, random order, then back to usual for the rest of the weekend. I like Fridays. I like Friday racing. I just think it shouldn't have been at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It should have been at 5 or 6. Should have been a night street race. And that was the other thing that I talked about in this stream, was why don't we have night street races? We found out because I didn't know, so I googled it. Sean Seamer was the reason that we were looking at doing a Gold Coast night race, and then it came back and then because we didn't have Sean Seamer anymore, Tim Watsford, who was the COO of Supercars and now he's gone, he said, no, they just want to advertise Supercars during the day. So, and then have like Gold Coast party time, party scene afterwards. They want to do that. So, yeah, Sean Seamer was the reason we were going to have a night race in the streets. Yep. Adelaide night race would be good. Yes, I will. I'll put out word in Adelaide, and we'll make it happen. I got some cordial going. So, I think Adelaide would do it. I don't know. I think the council might be a bit stupid about it though. They'll be like, "Oh, the noise restrictions and blah blah blah," and but like we'll have a big concert anyway. So what I was thinking, just well, all right, Brock. Okay, I'll finish talking about the night street race and then we'll talk about Brock Feeney. Night street race in Adelaide. We could do that on the Friday. Not have a concert. We'll have a night race, and then we'll do concerts back on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, have the local bands on the Thursday, and then the big acts on the Saturday, Sunday. All right, that's my plan for the Adelaide Grand Final. Brock Feeney winning this championship unless something goes majorly wrong. Well, he's just buying him a ticket to the finals. Really, he's winning races, but they're gonna level the points anyway. Race wouldn't be that late anyway. Yeah, it won't. It'll be 5 or 6 o'clock on a Friday, and that'll be fine. Everyone will get home from work. I'll get home from work halfway through the race. But that'll be okay. You know, as long as most people will be home. Like, people don't live that far away from work usually. Twilight race for ages before. Yeah, they used to do Super 2 and at sunset. When I was a kid, be hanging up at the fence, blinded by the sun, Super 2's going around. I don't know why they don't do Twilight into night. Yeah. They did a Sydney Motorsport Park, didn't they? They did something like that. It started at daytime, went to nighttime. I think so. I think it just depends on the event, really. Yeah, SMP put the effort in this year. The only time we had a Friday night race was SMP, except no one watched it, I guess, and the racing wasn't that good. It was like the top 5 cars battling, and that was it. Such a big deal about the floodlights, as in they just kept on talking about it, and like they did one race in 2018, and they didn't do it at all in 2019. Then they came back. And then they've used it all the time since, and that's fine. Yeah, they don't shut up. That's fine though, but yeah, 300-kilometer race was so cool that year. It was a pretty special one. There were some interesting results too, because that was the one where Walkinshaw shit the bed with both cars, and Jack LeBrock got like 5th in the race or something. That was impressive, that race. Oh, I have a PowerPoint presentation about it. Hang on. Where we got? I got all sorts of crazy crap. Hang on, 2018. What is it called? Sydney? Yeah. There we go. The late pit stops were rewarded heavily that weekend. Yeah, well, they would be with a race like that. Get a big benefit from a late pit stop, especially at a high deg track like SMP. The pit strategy can be really interesting there. All right, so I made a PowerPoint presentation about it because it was such a big deal at the time that I was like, what are the cars going to look like, and what happens? If it was green, Scotty Mac was winning. Late safety car. Yeah, it did. It did. He was on. He was on. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Red Rooster, Sydney, Super Night 300, Night Vinyl and Lights. So people who could not be bothered joining in the fun. Tickford, DJR Team Penske, Team 18, 23 Red. BJR basically had screens on the side. Erebus Motorsport, you could not tell. What looks good, what not so good. All right, so like some of them looked pretty good. Some of them were like, I liked what the Nissans did. I liked what Walkinshaw did. I liked the lounge one with the Autobahn on the side. That stuff was cool. But some of them were just like, it's so hard to tell. I guess it just depended on the livery or something, but it was pretty much just such a we're just showing off how good everything looks. Ones that are hit and miss. Cool Drive overdid their lighting. What else we got? Completely nailed it. 888 and Walkinshaw. Yeah, with the freaking glow underneath it. Love it. And the podium. McLaughlin pole position, the first 127 lap. Because in the night race, cars were faster. And it felt faster too, they were saying. So, yeah, there's that. Cool Drive one is nice. So my comment on the Cool Drive one was just that they overdid it a bit. Like, hang on, where are we going? May have done better if the logo was not completely lit up. So the dark bits of the little stripes, if they let that, maybe without it, it would have been fine. But yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine, but I think it could have been better. That's all. Yeah. What else we got? I think that's about it. I just remember that the Walkinshaw, like both cars, I think Scotty had a suspension failure and then Courtney something else happened. So like they were really fast and the cars just died. That's all. It was a time. That was the way of Walkinshaw in 2018. Fast cars that just dropped. Try to make the lighting too good. The 2018 was nice because it was like temporary light. It was dark enough to look cool. Now it's so bright. It's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's just, we don't really need it to be well lit up. They just need to know where to put the car. That's all they need. They don't need to be driving around. Oh, I can see the lawn while I'm driving around on the track. Like most people have driven at Sydney Motorsport Park before. They know. Like they could probably drive blindfolded and know mostly where the car's supposed to go. If they just turn the lights out after 30 laps, they'd probably still do everything exactly the same. More for the TV coverage, which is annoying. Yeah. They did night races at Calder Park in 1997, where Greg Murphy won from pole, and there were some parts where it was like it was dark for the most part, but yeah, don't know. Maybe I could find a picture of that actually. It's because Calder Park 1907. So yeah, it's pretty well lit, but that's at the start. It's not full dark. Here we go. I'll show that. Firefox. Way. Yeah, see? Escapee glowing up his brakes. I think this is just before he locked it up, heading into whatever corner it was. So it got dark, but it wasn't that dark. So it was like a twilight race. But I don't know, maybe Calder Park was just like really good for its time. There's this as well. So that was pretty dark as well. But it's like It's I think maybe Calder Park was just like that or something. Bit hard to tell. I don't. I'm a bit gun shy at the moment, so I'm not sure if I really want to show the race or anything. We could try, and as long as you're not in Zealand, in New Zealand, it won't get blocked. Well, that was the front straight. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But this isn't the one where Scaife, he's locking it up. It's not in the front straight. That's like in the back section. So, and I think when he locked it up and speared off, he it wasn't completely dark. So they must have had pretty bright lights for the time. So, but I think race 3. That was where, Wayne Gardner won the round. Murph won the first race, and then he had a terrible the rest of the round. There's night race there with Brocky. So, yeah. It's what? Gardner. So it was dark. But, you never know with photos. Sometimes they didn't have the aperture wide open, so it actually let all the light in. Like, it made it look darker than it actually was. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll stop that for a second. I think out the back it was almost pitch black. Yeah, it was dark. Not completely dark, but it was fairly dark. Scape Angle will always say they used to pump people out the back because they couldn't see it. People used to get punted off at Calder Park anyway. Like you watch the 2000 season is one of my favorite seasons to watch because there was so much going on. There was parody, there was biffo, there was drama, Lowndes leaving HRT stuff. Ingle at Perkins, they were just inconsistent all year. Yeah, it was a that one had Calder Park, and I think it was Larkham got the win, and I think somebody else, there was a bit of biffo there. Before Supercars started posting races, where'd you watch race replays? People posted them illegally on YouTube. That's how. I don't know if they're still up there, but there's always somebody recording the entire broadcast and sticking it up on YouTube before they get pinged by Supercars. So, yeah. Supercars they used to have the 2012 season, and that's all they had for several years. And so a lot of my early videos in 2018, 2019, I had Kenny Meister. That might have been one of them. Yeah, just all these guys. Hang on, I could find an old video. I don't know if I got any of them on this. Supercars videos. Here we go. Lukey's on his back. Yep, that one. Yep. Hang on. Yeah, I downloaded clips from all those guys. So obsessed trying to find them. Yeah, well, the great thing about YouTube is once you start finding them, YouTube starts suggesting them, and then you're like, oh, this one, oh, that one, oh, this one, and then you've just got heaps of them. Crash the V8s was one that was always pretty good. I don't know if I think it was more like highlights than actual full races though. Where else? Hang on, I gotta find it. Multiple titles as race team retirement. Here we go. What we got? I've got all sorts of clips of stuff. Only got into Supercars in like 2006 because I found out Brock died. It's a bad time to come into it. Like I grew up with it, so like I used to watch Bathurst, and I used to be a Greg Murphy fan, and I sort of fell away from it when I got into high school, and then I came back when I was 21 when I was 20. And the Adelaide 500 in 2016 had the wet race, and I kept saying they got a red flag it because like James Courtney crashed out, Chaz Mostert crashed out, and it kind of shaped my opinion on wet races on street circuits. So yeah, the 2016 season is started me getting back into supercars and led me to doing what I'm doing now, talking about supercars on YouTube and making heaps of videos and yeah, being obsessed with it, thinking about all sorts of little things. My opinion on wet races is that on street tracks, it usually ends up being carnage, and the result's always stupid. Like Nick Percat won the Adelaide 500. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. The race was a disaster. Dry races are great at Adelaide, but the wet race is just a mess. Was it 2001, 2002 that it was a wet one? Radisich fell off at Wakefield Street, but some of it, like a little bit of rain's okay, but if it's just wet everywhere, then it's like, why are we doing this? It just gets to a point where it's a waste of time. So at Albert Park this year, where they had all these guys up the front, and I was like, why are we doing this? Because like it was like it was probably going to be a crash fest. Hey, the 2015 season, because you're only 15. That's the first year it went to subscription base, had no money. Yeah, so there would have been a handful of rounds that you would have been able to watch on TV. When I was 21, and the 2017 season was a great season to watch. I didn't have Foxtel or anything either. What I used to do was I used to watch the live timing on the Supercars website. I used to look at Twitter because I used to do like live Twitter feeds and telling you what's going on. I used to look at Tickford and I used to look at Supercars. Tickford were really good at updating their socials, and Supercars had like a live update. I think maybe Speed Cafe had one as well. So there was a way to watch it when you're broke. Oh, also, Twitter would post clips of the race, so you'd be able to see a little bit of what was going on. So that was how I used to do it, and I think I used to do it in 2018 as well. Hated the commentator. Hated the commentator. Which commentator? As in Channel 10? Greg Rust was horrible. Oh, I like Greg Rust. Why was he horrible? What did he do? Was he just boring? Was he just pointing out the obvious, saying this is what's going on? I don't understand how it'd be horrible. It might just be pointing out the obvious. Yeah, monotone voice and the jokes would never bang. I'm a Matthew White. I'm a Matt White defender. He's suited for pit lane. Yeah, Greg Rust is a great pit lane reporter. Matt White taking the shackles off car 59. What else did he say? He sort of color commentators. That's what you need. It says stupid shit, but improve Matt White. Yeah, well, maybe I don't know. As I was watching the broadcast this weekend for Townsville, and I know people complain about Neil Crompton and Scafie. We just get used to them. That's my opinion. We're just so used to it, and so we just go, oh, they're just sort of pointing out the obvious. But once you're in it, once you know pretty much everything that's going on, you might get annoyed. You might start to get annoyed, like, oh, their opinions aren't right here and stuff like that. Apex Hunter's leading the hate train. Yep, I had a little rant earlier about I'm like, I'm pretty sure Scott Pye's doing a stream right now. Like he probably did a watch along during the race. And I'm like, I bet he's just nitpicking the commentary the whole time. I did a little bit of it when, hang on, when was it? Oh, Tommy Randall letting, like, after he let Waters past, and then he dropped a bunch of positions. I'm like, it's because he doesn't want to crash. It's not because he's being nice. He doesn't want to get fenced, all right? Gee, sorry for trying not to get put in the fence, all right? Giving the guys space like a respectful racing driver. And he just didn't have the pace. That's why he was dropping back. It didn't help that, like, when you're battling people, you're going to fall back potentially. But Scafey was like, Randall's being too nice. And I'm like, yeah, he should put Will Brown in the fence, shouldn't he? That's what he should do. Put him in the fence. Like, what a load of rubbish. But for the most part, I'm fine with the commentary. Sometimes I say stupid stuff, but most of the time it's like, it's fine. That's what I think. I think it's mostly fine. Garth Tander was great this weekend because he had some interesting things to say about all sorts of different stuff. Because they're really slow sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes they're watching different stuff. No one said what happened to Richie Stanaway today. He just fell away from Kai Allen. I think it was because he got bumped off or something. And we didn't really get the full picture on what happened to Cooper Murray either. He just sort of like maybe he did a third stop. We assume maybe he did 3 stop, but we don't know. He just ended up down the back, down last. So yeah. Sometimes the hate train's not helpful because Kyle just came out of the pits. So fresher tires when he was battling Stanaway, because Stanaway was fast. It looked like he was coming up to Kai Allen. But yeah, maybe I think yeah, maybe it was that. If that was the case, that Kai Allen had just come out of the pits in front of Stanaway, he should have just been able to pull a gap straight away. Like once you just like run Stanaway out into the grass and then pull away. Yeah, the Stanaway bombed him. I think Stanaway was not the most desperate driver this weekend. That was Andre Heimgartner. Andre Heimgartner on Friday and Saturday was desperate. He was so desperate. A bit shy, which he should be. I thought Kai Allen did a very respectful job in the races. He was not. He didn't put anyone in the fence. He got put in the fence himself when the freaking wheels came together and fired off into the fence after his little, like, just that wasn't anyone's fault. That was the freaking wheel nuts being stupid. I think Kai Allen's been doing a really good job with his racecraft. I think they just didn't have fast cars this weekend. Like Matt Payne was doing his usual thing, sticking it where it's got no business. He's worried about the cutoff. Heimgartner, that is. I think it wasn't just Heimgartner, it was Will Brown as well. When you have a car that isn't quite good enough, but you've got like a little bit of pace or a little bit of momentum. I think it was the Friday and the Saturday. He was doing desperate dive bombs, just like trying really hard. I think he was trying to get past Aaron Cameron, and he kept doing it on the Friday, I think. And then Brownie came past, and that was. And then I think it was the Saturday on Heimgartner's tagged Cameron Hill and spun him and got 15 seconds for it. But Will Brown, he was the same. He was tagging people on the way through. But Brock Feeney didn't do that because he didn't need to. He was fast. Heimgartner was worried about the cutoff. He's mirroring Brock Feeney's debut season. I thought Brock Feeney had a very peaceful debut season. He was getting ruffled up a lot. You spin someone, you get a drive through. That's right. 15 seconds for a rotation, 5 seconds for a bump and run. slowly getting there. Then at the end of the year, he'll be with or better than Payne. Yeah. Kai Allen mirroring Brock Feeney's debut season. Yeah, I'd say so, definitely. I think in 2022, it was at Sydney, and Brock Feeney, I was going, oh, he's just coming 11th all the time in a Triple Eight car. He shouldn't be doing that, but he was getting like roughed up regularly by everyone. But then they got to Tassie, and he stuck it on the front row. He led. He had a great start, led, and then just gave it to Shane. He just gave it to SVG. And I guess because he just felt like he just needed to have a good result and then fix up the aggro later. Like, just get a result, get that podium, and then tidy the rest up. And yeah, it was a bit interesting. I think Kai Allen, you're right. He's definitely having a Brock Feeney rookie season. He's in a good car. He's got a great team around him. He's going to get there one day. And there's no pressure on him to suddenly do a great job immediately. Maybe Kai Allen's going to win in Adelaide this year. SVG is too intimidating. Yeah, imagine being his teammate and being in front of him, being like, you'd be looking in the mirror the whole time. And it was 2022 as well, where all he did was just bump people and then go. He bump and runs all season long, running people up the wall like he did with Cam Waters. And we were all screaming, somebody has to stop him. And then Anton spun him and he had a tantrum. He didn't have a tantrum. He just knew he was really pissed off, actually. He kind of controlled himself really well with that one because he probably could have blown up a lot worse. He was just like, don't talk to me right now. I'm pissed off. And Tom was like, I had to go. I screwed it up. And then later SVG is like, yeah, he had to go. He screwed up. That's fine. So, but yeah, SVG was not quite the same in 2023. Just didn't agree with the cars, I guess. What else? What have we got? Talked about wet races. Talked about night races. I got like a list on my phone. He hated that car so much. He was complaining. It was interesting. At one point in the season, it was just before Chicago. He was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not, it'd be crazy if I went and did full-time NASCAR. Then he won at Chicago, and then like 2 weeks later, he had a deal to go race full-time NASCAR. So that was great. Right, yeah, ticking boxes. Oh, I didn't really finish talking about Asia, actually. I get distracted so easily. Selling the information to willing buyers. Okay, it might have been somebody on Speed Cafe talked about that. Selling information to interested Asian businessmen who would like to do supercars. We shook at the money he's making in NASCAR right now. Yeah. Especially when he's winning as well. What did he do? I think they said he's the most successful Australian in NASCAR ever now. And he was like, oh wow, nice. But I don't think he's satisfied. I think he wants to do so much better. And he's in his prime. He's what, 30 odd now, so 30 something. Shane Van Gisbergen. 36, yeah. He's in the prime of his life. He's 36. Most successful international driver, period. Yep. He's smashing it. He'd kill you for calling him an Aussie. Oh, I did say that, didn't I? Whoops. Yeah, that was my mistake. When I was saying that too, I was counting Jim Richards as well, that's another insult too. Can't be saying stuff like that. You could call Stephen Richards an Aussie because he pretty much lived most of his life in Australia. But no, Jim Richards is obviously a Kiwi, and yeah, that was a bad one. But yeah, that's kind of crazy how well he's doing. It was impressive straight away. What was he? He did the cup race. He corrected a reporter in the US calling him an Aussie. That's good. That's good. I think Scott McLaughlin said that he just can't be bothered. So he's just like, yeah, no one knows New Zealand as a country, so I'm just gonna say I'm from Australia. But in IndyCar, they got Scott Dixon, who's a Kiwi. So it's just funny. But I think that might have been just normal people, maybe not in IndyCar. I think they were probably a lot clearer about it. And I like how in IndyCar they call it and maybe in NASCAR too. Literally one of the best. Yeah, Scott Dixon is like one of the best of all time in IndyCar. He was like in the did he win the championship, or he was in the mix for the championship? Yeah, a few years ago. All right, we're gonna take a wild detour. Hang on, Scott Dixon. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. I'll show what I'm looking at. All right. 2021. I don't remember what year it was, but he just sort of had a really good run. Racing record. 2020. Yeah, second in 23. Third in 22. He's just that good. So I think it was only second now. Wait, what? Hang on. No, that can't be right. That's not up to date. They've had heaps of races. 6th last year. That's not very good. But it's just, it's American racing. You have ups and downs every year, but that consistency, that is relentless. He's just like, okay, his last championship, Scott Dixon's last Indy championship was 2020. And he's like a 6-time champion, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So first one in 2003, last one in 2020. So 17 years apart. And he's 44 now. He's just a beast. He's a machine. Yeah, I don't really watch IndyCar either. I just read Speed Cafe and they tell me what's going on. And then I think I watched it the first couple of times when Scott McLaughlin was doing when Scott McLaughlin first started, like his 2020 St. Pete race. I watched that, and then I watched like the first 1 or 2, and I see it actually it comes on TV, on Channel 9 or something. So, I think it was just when I was on day shift. It just used to come on during lunch at work. So I was like, oh yeah, IndyCar's on. All right, I'll watch that. Never really like Scotty Mac to be following how he's going. I like Scotty Mac. I would if I was in America and I was at a race, I would say hi to Scotty Mac. I didn't like him until 2018 or 2019 when I read his book, and then I was like, all right, I get it. Jamie Whincup's whole career, yeah, just fell off, became the GOAT, and retired in that time. In 17 years, yeah, pretty much. What was it 2003 to 2000? Yeah. Yes, he did. That's pretty much Jamie Whincup's whole career. He just became so aggro when he got good. I need to watch older races to be like, yeah, Whincup's not very good. We did watch. I think last time you were on my stream, we saw that Whincup was a pretty respectful racer. Like he wasn't banging into anyone. That was more SVG's thing. People called them out. He wanted to act like it's bullying. Yeah. I think people used to say that about Lowndes as well. McLaughlin was aggro. Became so aggro when he got good. I think he was just frustrated because he he always felt like he was battling the hate. He was battling the hate when he debuted in Super 2. He was like 16. And people were just like, oh, he's a rich kid, he's that. People were talking shit the whole time. And then he got good. And then people started talking more shit. Got to the main game, people talking shit. And then he gets like into DJR Team Penske, going even better. People talking even more shit. Like, it can't be easy with people. Like, Scott McLaughlin is ridiculously talented in a similar way to Shane Van Gisbergen, but Shane Van Gisbergen took a long time to build up to being really good. McLaughlin sort of just appeared and started being really good. So it was a bit more annoying, really, that he just rocked up and was immediately amazing. SVG, I think, deserved his career. He earned the domination. McLaughlin is just a post-career. He still gets there'll be people pissed off about something. I'm a little bit annoyed about 2016 Gold Coast, where McLaughlin put that. He locked the brakes, went up the inside of Frosty, and got the spot. And Frosty said he kind of ruined his brakes, stopping from crashing into Scotty. And I was like, good save, but not fair. That's all. I just didn't think it was fair. But yeah, it's sort of hard to watch. It's hard to watch somebody come in and immediately whip everyone. It's not fun. You want to watch somebody come up the ranks gradually, get the time in the sunlight and retire, or get the time in the sunlight, fade off and retire. That's the usual way. But I think maybe Russell Engel was like that. He rocked up and people were like, who's this guy? And same with Craig Lowndes. They're like, who's this guy? Like your Glenn Seatons and Mark Scaife, guys who took a while to get that opportunity. And suddenly these other guys rock up and start smashing everyone. I'm sure Larry Perkins was fine with Russell Engel rocking up and winning races, but Lowndes was just a menace. Lowndes was he was so good it wasn't fair. Seen a stat about race wins early. It was before 21 or something. I said 40 something wins. Yeah, well, Craig Lowndes racked up like I've got my crazy stats somewhere. Hang on, where is it? It was like every 2 years. It was like the best of all time, all the time. It was called the greatest of all time, all the time. Yeah, where like Craig Lowndes in his first like 6 years won more races than heaps of people had ever won, and he was like the number one forever. So I'll show that. Greatest drivers of all time. Craziness. So there's 22. I need to update this. I've forgotten to do that. So back to the 90s. So here's 1996. All right. Craig Lowndes has his rookie season and he wins 16 freaking races. Then you got all these other guys who haven't ever done that before. But also around this time, they started doing a lot more races. I can't remember what year it was. It was like 92, 93, something like that. They started doing multiple races per weekend. And so they started racking up a couple more numbers. But in 1994, Peter Brock wasn't it. Alan Moffat wasn't it. Dee Johnson wasn't it. Who won the championship? Mark Scaife. So he won 9 races from 92 to 94. Well, in 93 and 94. Then Craig Lowndes comes in and wins 16 races in his rookie season. and then he wins another 14 when he comes back in 98, and then he wins another 19 between 99 and 2000. So he just kind of like immediately became the best, and then moved to Ford, and then struggled. But it's like, how fair is that on guys who, like Mark Scaife, chose not to drive the HRT for a bit, and then he did, and he still wasn't beating Lowndes. It took until he stole Rob Starr from him to beat him. So, it's not easy. How actually won a championship. Yeah. Said later, I'm going to go try F1. Said, no, never mind. Yeah. Came back, won the championship immediately. Yep. Yes, he did. Oh, it was just like, that was how good Lowndes was. That was how good HRT were. But HRT were never as good as Triple Eight. They were never as good. The gap between him and the rest of them would have been insane. He just came out of nowhere. Like, I think in the 1994 Bathurst, I haven't seen the entire race because I don't think 1994 entire Bathurst is on YouTube. I haven't looked, so it's why it's so baffling. Jamie Whincup just dog walked him. Whincup was dedicated. Whincup was how long did it take for Whincup to start whipping Lowndes? I think by 2008. Actually, in 2007, he started beating Lowndes. Lowndes was more consistent. Whincup was getting the bigger results, especially after Bathurst. Whincup was on like a winning streak. Started reeling Garth Tander in. Then they got to Phillip Island, and then Garth was like on the front row, on pole in all the races, apart from, was it Todd Kelly was up there as well? So when we're looking 2006 to 2008, so he wins, what's that, 8 races, 2007, 2008, just 8 races. Whincup's down there because he's only just won his first race, basically. Way down the order, 2 races in 2006, wins 20 races in 2007 and 2008, wins another 20 races in 2009 and 2010. Lowndes just wins 6 in equal machinery. 2011 and 2012, Whincup wins another 22 races in 2011 and 2012. Lowndes only wins 12 races. It's just crazy. Lowndes did eventually get that 100th race win in 2015 on his birthday at Darwin. And then he just not racking up those numbers. And then didn't win a race since 2019. But he's still the best at Bathurst. He's still really good. Used to be your favorite. Hang on, we were 2007. Todd Kelly used to be your favorite driver when he was at HRT. I think the Kelly brothers were really good. Whincup was so OP. He was at his absolute best in those years. 2014 and 2015, they just it's a weird one. 2015. Did you say that was your first season, 2015? Because that was the one where Triple Eight was struggling in qualifying, and Lowndes was pretty much running for the championship, but he wasn't really close enough, and he was past it, and so Frosty was just hanging on for dear life. 2006 was your first, yeah, but you said 2015. You lost interest in 2015, I think, because of the Foxtel. Yeah, tough times, but yeah, Whincup racking up those stats. Not quite as good, but like they did it right putting Van Gisbergen in. Then he got a job and locked back in 2016. All right, nice, yeah. Yeah. I think it was 2016. Whincup was so fast. He was good enough to win that championship. It's just SVG was just a bit better. I think I have a PowerPoint presentation about this. Is it still in? He should have won. Oh, I don't know about should have won. I think he got beaten fair and square. I'm gonna find it. He got robbed at Bathurst. Bathurst was 2016. Bathurst was insane. Because of the what's it called? Redress. The redress. That was Scott McLaughlin, as far as I'm concerned. Scott McLaughlin came in like a bat out of hell. And while he was they were battling like Garth Tander, Scott McLaughlin, and Jamie Whincup coming down the chase. Scotty puts a stupid move on, runs off, comes in. He just holds the throttle down, comes in. Garth goes to pass Whincup, and then was it Whincup goes to redress for Scotty, and then Scotty collides with Garth. That was Scotty. Like, the crash didn't happen until McLaughlin crashed into Garth Tander. That's what happened, right? That's what happened. And so some of that stuff just makes no sense, that they said that it was Whincup's fault that Garth crashed into Scotty. He was going to, I don't remember the rules about the 2016 season, about how that unfolded with came back on the track too fast. Yeah, but Whincup was going to give the spot back to Scotty, right? But he was trying to block Garth. So, yeah, it was just a stupid rule, and they got rid of it the next year. But yeah, Whincup shouldn't have got the 15-second penalty or whatever he got for it. Didn't even have enough to finish the race. Really? Yeah. And Scotty said that he used to try way too hard, like, in those days. So when he finally won Bathurst, he did it properly. I mean, 2019 was a bullshit race, and that was ruined. That was ruined by DJR Team Penske. We know that. Sandown, he got screwed. That was the seatbelt thing. That was the belts thing, right? Dumbrell screwed that up. Or was that 2015? I think it was, because he got second, right? Second to Garth. Is that right? Hang on. I can't remember. I'll look it up. And now 500. I'll look up 2016 VA Supercars. Blah blah blah. Even forgot the day. I forgot they fucked up so many times. SVG second, yeah. Tander, the panel fell off randomly. I thought they were going to black flag him. And Davo third. Davo with Webby. SVG second. Yeah, I thought somebody got second in both races. SVG second at Bathurst and Sandown, yeah. He wasn't that good back then, but he was a lot better 6 years later. Yeah. So much craziness. Yeah, Whincup 13th at Sandown, 11th at Bathurst, but on pole in both races. So what happened? I don't know why they let it slide. I think it wasn't going to peel off much more. Enduro season fucked this championship, yeah. He was leading too, right? Actually, I'll show if I see. I've got it up. He So he's on the podium like constantly. And that's the third race, right? That's the third race at Adelaide. They got more points there. And that's why Michael Caruso was leading the championship after Adelaide. But he was picking up podiums. Tassie, I don't know what the frick happened there. But picking up good points, outscoring. Oh, he's not even outscoring SVG there. SVG outscored him at Perth. He outscored him at Phillip Island. Outscored him at Tassie because he got 19th and SVG got a DNF. Outscored him at Adelaide. So I think he was leading. Especially into Sandown, he was definitely leading the championship. But SVG, Pukekohe was, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there. But SVG's on the podium in all those races. All I know is that SVG was leading the championship at Sydney, and he needed to come like 6th to win the championship or something, or 3rd to win the championship. And then he just came 3rd, and then he won the next day. Stream froze. I hope it doesn't do what it did last time and just die on me. Sand, they could drive through. I'll wait for him to come back. How's that? All good now? You back now? Might be my internet. I think last time I went up to like the 3-hour mark and then it died. So I might have to wrap it up soon. Yeah, I love talking about historic V8 Supercar championships for hours on end, but the internet might be saying no now. Last time I had to turn off my computer. Is it still frozen? I don't really know if I can tell. I could probably look at it. Hang on. We're back. It's all good. Everything's nice and good. Awesome. All right. We were talking about how Jamie Whincup deserved to win the 2016 championship. I don't know what happened to Pookie. I think we don't know what happened at Sandown. I'm gun shy at the moment. I'm not sure we're going to get replays. I only got pinged for 2025 stuff. Back for a bit, but I was just listening to what you were saying. Whincup spun SVG at Pukekohe. Oh, so he got a penalty for that. Right. Yeah, he tagged him. That was when they pirouette, right? That was their nice little spin. I thought. Yeah, they did like a synchronized spinning. Yeah. It was funny. And that was why Frosty got the win, right? Frosty won. Yeah, I know my supercars. But Whincup's winning there. So maybe that's the edge. Like Whincup won 4 races, SVG won 3, but yeah. That one for Pookie. Well, if you tag someone and spin them and cause an incident, then that's your own fault. Bathurst was the bullshit one. Sandown, was that the belts one? Or was that 2015? 2015 they won, didn't they? One was belts. Hang on. 2015 was a flat tire. At Sandown? Hang on, almost stop that for a second. championship was definitely over. We captured one Bathurst. Yeah. 2015 was flat tire. Frosty won the 2015. Oh, the 500. He won that. Yeah, Sandown. Yeah, that was Frosty's lot. Yeah. Yeah, I know that. And then Mostert second. SVG third in the Techno car. Yeah. Pole at Sandown. One of them was about belts, right? One of them was about belts. I can't remember. Mostert second before he died at Bathurst. He was. Mozzie was going to win. And he said something interesting, I think last year. Mozzie said that they stopped developing the car. They were like, we've got the best car, so we don't have to do anything. And that was why they were kind of rubbish at the end of the year. Like, why Frosty just picked up one podium for the rest of the year. And then, they had, Cam Waters and Russell Engel and whoever else for the rest of the season. Steve Owen in the last round. It's just like, yeah. No good. Are they stupid? They may be. They learned the hard way. I remember 2018, we went into that season, and then we learned a lot about parity in 2018, where anyone in an FGX Falcon was disadvantaged, and there were two drivers that managed to drag their cars into good results. He was making Frosty down so crazy. Mowing him down so crazy. He was out-qualifying him like crazy. Like, in 2015, when Frosty won the championship, he was getting out-qualified by Chaz constantly. Chaz was just a machine when it came to qualifying. I've got a picture because I made a video. Thing. Posted Frosty Art 2015. I don't find Frosty as one of the better drivers. He wasn't in 2015, that's for sure. And he was getting beaten by Chaz every year. So there's that. So 2015, Chaz out-qualifies everyone 14 times. Frosty out-qualifies everyone 11 times. Reynolds 11 times. So Frosty was as good as Reynolds. 30 top 10s, except Frosty won 9 races. Frosty was good at winning races. Mozzie was not good at winning races. Yeah. Right place, right time. Yeah. Mozzie sort of threw it away a few times, though, it looks like. On pole, came 8th, came 5th, this is not good enough. Screwed it up at Winton. Yeah, 25th. What's he going 25th for? Hang on, I'll free race win he gave to Frosty 150 points for no reason. What did he do? Did he just stick it in the fence or something or run wide? We don't know. You might know. I don't know. I know a little bit, not a lot. Especially about any year from before 2017. I don't really know. He was leading and put a left rear in the dirt between 4 and 5. Rear up on the fence. Oh, wow. He was trying too hard. He's just young buck, haven't been given a championship car and just slips it off. That's unfortunate. he was killing him. So he would have been. He qualified on pole and he won. He won the first race. He came third in the second race. Rick Kelly had a Winton weekend, and just couldn't get that consistency and momentum going until Queensland. Chaz Mostert, and then he was on a roll. So he got it going at Queensland. Smashed everyone at SMP apart from the second race where maybe he sneezed on the line or something. Second at Sandown, died at Bathurst, as you said. So he does it now as well, and he's unk. Does what now? Wingcup just dominated that race. SMP race. Oh, okay, that second one. Yeah, fair enough. Wingcup needed it. A long stretch in between podiums. He needed to do well there. Yeah, Wingcup had a rubbish 2015 season. Doesn't know how to relax when the winner's there. Last year, Adelaide. Yeah. Just pushing too hard. Just what was it? He had a penalty because he got released in front of. Was it Feeney? Or did Feeney get released in front of him? I think it was probably Feeney Feeney had a penalty, so it was like, okay, can relax. Oh, number dropped to 0. Yeah, 15 seconds. Yeah. And then he's fighting him for no reason. Yeah. And Scaffer's like, relax, don't stop. Like, you don't need to do this. And he's just not listening. Let him go. He's not putting 15 seconds on you. Chill. Yeah. I was in the grandstand watching it, and we were just like, what the hell is going on? Because I think Saturday was the processional race, and Sunday was the one where just chaos. There was the one where Brody spun Brownie. We put 15 seconds on him. He needs to retire. Yeah. Mozzie had a really good car that weekend. He should have been able to win easily. Or he should have been able to come second healthily, not necessarily win. Brock had a really good car, but he would have inherited the win when Brock got the 15 seconds. But Brock had two penalties? Brock had what? What penalty do you get when you stop someone in the pits? Is that a 5-second penalty? And then he's fighting him for it. And the second penalty was when he hit him. He tagged him, put him in the fence. Because Mostert was battling him for the lead, which he already had because Brock was getting a penalty anyway. Both for 15 seconds. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, 30-second penalty. I remember that, yeah. Yeah, so he did. He tagged him and he's spun him into the tyres and he's just the car was a mess. Yeah. He hit him hard in the pits. Yeah, it was like boom. He hit him. Yeah. Yeah. What else do we want to look at? He should have a championship by now. Chaz Mostert should have a championship, but he might not ever get it driving for Walkinshaw. He's going to become a James Courtney. No, he's going to become a Will Davison. He's a Will Davison. Chaz Mostert is a Will Davison. He's won Bathurst multiple times, and he just hasn't got a championship for whatever reason. Yeah, except it's maybe slightly better than Will Davison. Because Will didn't have a rookie season like Chaz had. One chance and got it. Yeah, that's right. Courtney was fighting hard for that championship. He fought so hard he broke the car trying to win the championship. And he got it because his crew was good enough. It was ticked off into the 3-hour mark. Dude, when you come on, you make this stream a million times better, and then I have clips to put on YouTube. So it's a team effort. But yeah, Chaz should have won the 2015 championship, but it wasn't because he wasn't trying. He just sort of screwed up in qualifying and had the horrible crash. And then Tickford didn't have a good car for the rest of his time. Tried to fix Wincup's car so he could do another 200 kilometers. Yeah, DJR were like, are the wheels on? Yes, send it. And that's what they did. Did you do 2 laps? We just need to get 75%, and then we score points, and then they come back and then do the next race, which is crazy that was the. All right, let's look at 2010. Hang on. Because that was like the second to last race of the year that all happened. It wasn't the last race; it was the second to last race. They're all on the fence within. Hang on, let me show you the things. Watching that race pisses me off so much. Should have won that season by a country mile. Yeah, he knows that. He knows that they threw it away. They did a bad job. Yeah, so screwed it up at Adelaide. What happened at Adelaide? Did he hit someone? 18th. He shouldn't come 18th. Well, I tell you what, sometimes Craig Lowndes threw races away for no reason. What the hell happened to Craig Lowndes in 2010 at Adelaide? Why is he 19th and 16th? I feel like I'm missing a lot right there. DNF at Queensland from Pole, and a 24th at Winton. Who did he spin? Jason Bright at Winton. This is 2010. That's why. What am I thinking? Yeah, mistakes everywhere. What the hell's going on? And DNF for Sydney. Courtney comes 15th because that many cars DNF'd at Sydney in that wet race. And that was Webby's race win. The next day, Holdsworth gets the win because Courtney has a broken car and Winkup has a broken car. Yeah. He's hit the fence. They're both in the fence. They're all on the fence. Yes. Adelaide, his diffuser fell off because Courtney hit him. What an aggressive bastard. They gave him a mechanical black flag even though the diffuser fell off. Oh, okay. So it was off and they didn't need to do anything anymore. Yeah. Lowndes had a flat tire on the Saturday. Wait, no, that was 2012. Lowndes had a flat career from like 2008. Since 2008, Craig Lowndes was making mistakes and wasn't quite as good as he should have been. And he got sort of lucky in 2015 because Winkup was having a bad time. And that's why he came second in the championship in 2015. 2013, you watch that season and you go, Lowndes, what are you doing? Like you're watching 2013, like, okay, Winkup's smashing everyone because he's just that good. Lowndes, can you please qualify in the top 10? Can you please qualify in the front 2 rows? That would be very helpful. Thanks, Lowndesy. And it was just like he had to just get little results to get something. But he was ridiculously good 20 years before, so 2011 he was close. Okay. Yeah, he's having a shit time there. So it's 2010. 2011. I do remember them saying he was close in 2011 because he was in contention in the last round. All right, so he won the round. And Whincup just scored some points and won the championship apparently. But he was really close after Bathurst, it looks like. He must have been really close after Bathurst, and he probably threw it away at Gold Coast right there. And once he'd done that, Whincups dominated at Tassie and then scored enough points to win the championship. So, there. Sorry, I didn't show that. Whincup alternator failed at Bathurst. He was ahead 100 points in his alternator failed race 1 Gold Coast. Okay. Whincup went insane for the rest of the year. What did he do? Just doing stupid stuff. The entire 2011 season is on YouTube. I need to watch a lot. Actually, I was in the middle of watching the 2011 season because I was like, was Murph good? Was Murph not good? Ahead after Bathurst by 100 points. Yeah, it looks like 100 points is a fair margin. So, okay, I'll show it so we can do our homework. So, after Bathurst, Lowndes is ahead by 100 points. Probably because of all this good work right here. Second behind him, beats him. And I think he said an alternator failed while he was leading. Something happened in the second race. He had a Chaz Mostert time. Tassie. 2011 Tassie, that was the one with the mustaches, right? Everyone had mustaches. Good times. And then no pace at Sandown, possibly. And then smashed him at Sydney. So, They didn't start the first Gold Coast race because the alternator shit itself. Right. Sandown race 1 was wet. 2011. The Rick Kelly win. It was, yeah, slipping and sliding. Courtney came second in that one. Courtney at HRT in 2011 he might as well have not showed up. What the hell was happening in that year? I think, where am I up to in the season? I can't remember. I think I was up to like Barbagallo, but I was watching Perth, drive it all the way. Oh, qualified 20 something, drive it all the way to 6th. Okay, good effort. Yeah. Courtney had the biggest stinker in 2011. He did, but Will Davison had a way worse 2010. Finished ahead of Whincup. I think Whincup was on pole. Yeah, something happened to Whincup. Did he spin off? Did he get damage? Came 13th or something. 13th, yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I would, yeah, like I said, I'm gun shy to do replays at the moment because Kiwis can't watch it, and so I don't want to have Kiwis missed out. I'll have to work out the details. I think it's because something to do with Sky Sports. It was only 2025 stuff that I got pinged for, so it might be okay if I do it. But we are 3 hours into the stream, so yeah, I don't want to break everything. Could try the highlights. Yeah. All right. Let's watch a bit. Let's watch a bit of YouTube. If I can find the highlights. If I break YouTube again, then it's okay. We'll do that. 2011 V8 Supercars highlights. Okay. Here we go. What we were looking at, where we wanted to watch specific races, right? So, Gold Coast, you said the alternator failed at the start. Playlists, we have to find 2011. So we have to look through a million playlists. This is going to be a time. Jesus Christ. We do not need to set, like, they don't need to make a playlist for every round of the championship. It's ridiculous. Every round, every year. They should be deleting things. I do like the best of Tassie playlist. I think I've watched the best of Darwin as well, something like that. But where is it? 2011 Fujitsu. 2011. So those are full races. I don't know if it's going to have it. The highlights. Alright, I'll try, 2011, race 23, race 6, which is Hamilton. Tassie, what do we see at Tassie? How did Lambda go at Tassie? He went great. What about Gold Coast? So race 20 something. Townsville, Phillip Island, Gold Coast. Here we go. That's race 22, which God knows which one. I think the race that was the second race, right? Came 20th for some reason. All right.
Sunday afternoon and another 300 kilometres around the streets of the Gold Coast. Jamie Whincup looking for a weekend clean sweep after a weekend.
Look, Whincup's ahead of the championship just there. And they just showed it. Because it's the second race. Well, that's Lowndes behind there. What happened? And it's an international driver thing as well. 102 laps. Oh, he's in the fence. Dumbrell just turned left, went into the fence. Wasn't even Dumbrell in the car. Oh, I miss the international drivers. Bloody hell. Whoever wins is just given that. I know. So what happens to Lowndesy? Oh, somebody has a flat. Mika Salo. I say Andy Prio was in with Lowndes. Oh, far out. Bloody hell. Oh. 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 Lovely. What chaos. Double stacked. Uh-oh. What? No. Oh, in Fiore's car. Bloody hell, man. Yeah, that double stack did not help. He should be ploughing through the field.
Lowndes was doing everything to get spots back.
Look at him go! Slip, slide, and moves.
With the sensor system out of operation,
But he's still going to come second. He's not going to get the lead championship back.
hard for his 50th career win. Frosty up the inside with 8 laps left.
Oh, there he goes. And he gets it done. Winterbottom takes over the race lead. Under 10 laps.
Good for Lowndes.
The FPR Falcon holding on. Winterbottom earning his first win of 2011.
Was it just the double stack?
Well and truly back.
Looks like Lowndes had a bit of damage at the back as well. So he came 20th.
Celebrating a Ford victory. Win Cup second ahead of Lee Holdsworth and Greg Murphy.
Hmm.
Lowndes ending up 20th, falling further behind Win Cup in the championship race with McCloy Big Pond Sport.
They didn't say why. They just said that's what happened. Winterbottom won because he got Richard Lyons as the international because Will Power couldn't make it. Lyons with the injuries with Webb, so that wasn't really fair, but whatever. All right. Second one is Gold Coast. It does have the full races, but I didn't want to watch the... Yeah, okay, that's what you said, yeah. Second one is Gold Coast. Yeah, so that was race 22. I don't know what happened to Lowndes in that one, but he double stacked and then he couldn't make it through. He must have crashed or something. I misread. I didn't misread. He came 20th. Something happened. Something happened. You don't come 20th in a Triple Eight car unless something happened. So that was race 22. So race 21. Oh, I'm gonna try that again. No, like the links he sent. No links came through, mate. No links came through. They probably don't let it happen. If you send a title, I could just copy it in. Is it a full race? Because I know how to watch the full race. I'm just choosing not to. The highlights. Okay. Yeah. All right. Because I had I've got race 21 ready to go. So, which is the first one at the Gold Coast.
Saturday afternoon, the first 300 kilometres of the overall Gold Coast 600. Great news for Jamie Whitcup. Pole position and looking to regain the championship lead from Craig Lowndes.
Oh,
Lowndes start from pit lane after missing the warm-up lap looking for an electrical problem. 28 cars on the grid and the United Nations of co-driving talent. Every entry starting with their overseas driver. Sebastian Bourdais starting in Whitcup's car with Ryan Briscoe next to him in Garth Tander's Toll Holden. 28 drivers fresh to V8s and hoping to get through turn 1.
So Lowndes started in the pits. Yeah, you can see him in the end of the pits there. But he had a DNF. Ooh. Ah. Well, there we go. There we go. That's what happened. What else? What else was there? Hang on. So that was Gold Coast, and pretty much that cemented it for Whitcup. Whitcup was then beating him every race except for... Yeah, he's just pulled out a big enough lead to win the championship by the time they got to Sydney. I think he was in mathematical contention, Craig Lowndes, heading into Sydney. But I think it was like if Whitcup finishes and Lowndes wins both races, Whitcup wins the championship. So I think I read that in like 2017 or something, 2015. Dan Weldon passed away. Yeah, and he was meant to be Courtney's co-driver. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Will Power was in that crash. So that's why he didn't race. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I want to watch the Dan Weldon crash. It was a pretty big one, but I have seen it. Yeah. Hang on. We look at. I can look it up. 2011 IndyCar Series. I'll Bathurst highlights. I think Will Power was in the crash. See Wincup's alternator shit itself in 2011. Okay, sure. Yeah, all right, we'll do that. 2011 was a crazy season. 2011 was really good because I think the tires were good that year. So the racing was crazy. They had good tires that they could race with. 2011 Bathurst 1000 highlights. That's the one where Murph had the win. 8-minute highlights. Go away. Murph had pole. I think it was because of wet qualifying. I think we talked about that last time. We got all the Pepsi Max crew. Oh, it's a bad start for Frosty. Holding the lead. Yeah. Oh. Murph's got some. Courtney's got pace. Davison had pace too. Should have known that the Kelly car didn't have the ability to do the job. The only driver who could make a Kelly car do a good job was Rick. Oh. Time to retire, Scafey. Have they just pulled away from Murph? Or has he already pitted? Get out of my way. Yeah. You said that this is the one where. His alternator shit itself. Wincup's alternator shit itself. Really good to see. Looks like he's on the win. This is the one where David Bernard's car just exploded. Jordan should retire. He'll never win a Bathurst. Imagine that. A guy who's got a Bathurst in him being just like, nah, we get rid of him. Oh. He certainly did. Because he won the damn thing. But I guess it's because Wincup threw it away, right? Hello. Oh. Safety car. Wincup's in. Oh. He had Andrew Thompson in his car. Was it Andrew Thompson or James Thompson? He was Andrew Thompson because he won the championship in Super 2 2011.
The clouds gathered. Whincup 4 seconds clear of Tander with Lowndes a further 4 seconds back in third. Lowndes took Tander for second on lap 84 and it was back to a Vodafone 1-2. Driver changes for the top runners. Thompson still leading with Skate in for Lowndes and dropping to fourth behind Burkhardt and Stephen Richards. Time for another twist.
Sort of tells you how good Whincup was. Because if the other cars got Scafey and Lounsey, oh, jeez, Marcus Marshall. What's happened to Marshall's right front there, locked up? Oh, I remember this. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. And then a fire.
A scary moment for Bernard, who walked away with no injury. New brake pads not doing the job into turn 3. After all that, Garth Tander led the 1000 on lap 119. Whincup second, Winterbottom third from Paul Dumbrell and James Courtney. Steve Owen losing a ton of chase.
How did he do that? Well, this was around the time when they're having issues with the tires as well. Happens from time to time. The delaminating tires, something like that. Oh. So Percat tried to throw it in the bin, and Garth's like, "Nah, we're winning Bathurst." Oh. Mm.
Safety car. Tander now in the box seat and the order behind him completely changed. Pole setter Greg Murphy in second, Jason Bright in third, and Russell Eagle in fourth. Eagle and Carl Ryan were locked up with some oil on the track at the chase. Lowndes taking the opportunity to move into fourth. 20 laps to go and Paul Dumbrell into the fence.
Bye bye. Is that Johnny Mac put Paul Dumbrell on the fence? Ooh.
Keep on fighting the reigning champ.
Lowndes set to take the championship lead with Whincup's woes, now hunting down Murphy for second. Tander with 3.8 seconds in hand to fight.
At least Murphy came third. They had a relatively... They didn't have a car for the win, but they got a podium out of it. Not too bad. Oh boy. Jeez Christ. If I had notes for every screw-ups happening to Tander and Percat. Oh my God. I didn't know that. I didn't know Tander was wounded. I think you told me last time. This is just hanging on for dear life. If that was an SVG in the Triple Eight, he would have shoved Tander out of the way. He would have shoved him out of the way and won the race. I think it was closer in 2016, right? There we go. Okay, Andrew Thompson, James Thompson was in the car for them in 2009. Yeah, I thought so. A little bit. The big delamination was in 2012. Yeah, shouldn't be there because all they had to wait behind Whincups only car so that guys like Engel and Reindler were at the front because they pitted and came out ahead of them. 2016 had the same chance and he didn't do it. Okay. Yeah, so he can race fair. SVG can race fair. He just he didn't do it. He had too much respect for Will Davison. And he also 2016 SVG was not the same as 2022 SVG. No, he needed to it. He needed to grow into it. They all had to wait behind me because they shouldn't be there. I'm not sure what you mean by that one. That they shouldn't be there. Who shouldn't be there? Murphy and Simonson. Is that what you mean? Oh, hang on. They had to wait behind. Murphy, Ryan, the Engel at their last safety car restart. Oh, okay. So they might have done something wrong. Got held up there. Radio. Alright. I watched a bit of 2008 Hamilton last week or something. Winterbottom and Lowndes were at the top of the mountain following Whincup's car, going slow as fuck. Right. Bit interesting that Winterbottom probably just didn't have a very fast car, but I think Winterbottom has like a list as long as your arm of reasons why he didn't win Bathurst. Lewis, my goat. Oh, Lewis Hamilton, very good, very good. No, 2008 Hamilton 400 V8 Supercars. Hamilton 08. yeah. What's his name? Brazil, the guy. What is it? Is that Glock? Is that Glock? That's what it is, right? They're like, he's going so slow. What's going on? What's he doing? He's gonna stop him winning the championship. I watched 2008 Hamilton 400. 2007 he got robbed. There's this great guy called Nedzo who does videos breaking down exactly what happened throughout Lewis Hamilton's career, and he's like, Lewis Hamilton is like the 7th best Formula One driver of all time. He is not the best, and he goes into so much detail why. I'll just show it for a hot sec. I don't even know if I'm going to be allowed to show Nedzo's. Who knows? I already shared his channel before, but Nedzo's. No, not Nedzo's. Nedzo's. F1 Grid Box. Nedzo, my man. He has such a great channel. So, underrated champion. The one that where he kind of breaks it down. He just ranks. Ranking the best F1 drivers, best drivers in F1 history, I think I watched that one, and that's 2 hours and 3 hours long. What? Maybe the one I watched was every F1 driver from the 2010s. No, that can't be right. All right, maybe I did watch just a 3-hour live stream. That sounds like a me thing to do. But he pretty much said that Hamilton was screwing Alonso over as well, and then Alonso was screwing him over, and Hamilton was getting special treatment, and Alonso wasn't. And Alonso was kind of screwed over because he was on the Michelin tires. And been on was it Semi's YouTube? All right, hang on. If I can I do that? Hang on. Copy. Can I do that? Yeah. There we go. See the double world champion versus a rookie. Yeah, I think it looked better than it was because Nedzo said that, yeah, he's really good to watch. He's like, he gave the reason I found him is because he was talking shit about Daniel Ricciardo. He's saying Daniel Ricciardo wasn't that good. And I was like, what? And then I went and watched the video and I'm like, oh, no, you're right. Because he goes into the numbers and he breaks it down in great detail. And then things like Sebastian Vettel bitching about Danny Kvyat calling him torpedo, even though Danny Kvyat was nowhere near him. He just went through a gap. Raikkonen had run wide and then crashed into Vettel. That's what happened. But Vettel was like, it was Kvyat's fault. It was ridiculous, but yeah. Nedzo's is great. He goes into real detail about what happened and inspires me a little bit to be like, oh, I want to know if there's like real, if there's stuff like that in supercars. Was having a sook. Yeah, well, Vettel was driving a 2015 Ferrari. He had a lot to be upset about. I think the 2015 Ferrari wasn't too bad though, was it? Or was it 2014? 2015. He did win races in the Ferrari. Formula One. Fun World Championship in 2017, yeah, and 2018, I think the car just fell off or something. 2015 was he won Malaysia. He won Hungary. He was okay, but he was never getting anywhere near Rosberg and Hamilton because they were just on the podium every day. Like they'd be sitting there, eating their peanuts, eating their popcorn, hanging out. Like this is just where I sit. I didn't even win the race. I just sit here all the time. Yeah, Vettel just sort of had a bad time in Belgium there. Didn't help, but he was nowhere near. 2017 is the one you want to see, though, where he was actually leading the championship. And it was the German Grand Prix? No, that's the 2018 one that I'm thinking of. What happened in 2017? Nedzo goes into it immense detail. Basically, from like 2020 onwards, Vettel was just nowhere near as good. Yeah, he was on 2017. Bottas wasn't that good, but yeah, wins the first race of the year, and then gets the lead back after Bahrain. Holds the lead, probably still has the lead there. Wins the next race. I don't know if he. Hang on, don't they do a thing on Wikipedia where they show the lead changes? No, all right, I can't be bothered. So, 2019, they said he was cheating. Saw someone say if you change 4 results in Lewis Hamilton's career, he's an 11-time world champion. Winter break, he just crumbled. Yeah. What is it? which is what after Spa. Oh yeah, what's that? 2 DNFs. What's he done that for? Not too bad. Not too bad. Hang on, I'm not showing things again, and I should be showing things. Yeah, he's just sort of third at Monza, but like, it's a Mercedes, right? It's Lewis Hamilton in a 2017 Mercedes. It's not like Vettel should have won the championship. It's just that he just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. It was close, but it was not that close. But yeah, maybe he did have results that he was throwing away. But like, yeah, I don't know. It was better for half the year. For the first half, it looks like the Ferrari was better. Lewis got the result. Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, Nedzo says it about the Williams in 1994 or 1995. He was like, they should have won like 8 world championships in the 90s. Vettel just stinks it up, comes 4th, 5th when he's not the best. Singapore, he threw it away. Right. Did he? Yep, DNF'd. What was that one? Raikkonen had a rubbish one as well. Off the start. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And Max. Yeah, well, Max wasn't ready yet. He wasn't ready for the Singapore Grand Prix, so, put him in the bin too. Well, I think I heard that Nedzo says that, like, Max was like, was it 2018? Max was, like, constantly out qualifying Ricardo. Lewis was 5th. If 5th at Singapore. No? 5th where? Oh, started 5th. Came out the first corner 2nd behind Vettel with a broken radiator. Right. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if we want to keep talking about Formula One. We can talk about Formula One. I don't really mind. The reason I brought up 2008 Hamilton 400. Vettel spins and then Lewis wins, and that's all she wrote for the championship. Yes, that is what happened. Supercars is your niche. Yeah. So 2008 Hamilton 400. I watched like both races. That was the 2 races. Yeah. And this is back in progressive grids. So, you had like some good racing going on, and there was I think McConville got a penalty. 3 races in 08, was it? Right. Okay. I've got all sorts popping up. Hang on. 2008 V8 Supercars. Apparently, I don't have a history of looking at the 2008 V8 Supercars Championship. That's crazy. Why would I not have a history of looking at it? Because I know Garth won all the races. Yep, 3 races. Tender sweep. Yep, Wing Cup crashed in qualifying because Todd Kelly put him in the fence. Yeah. So what happened was Cameron McConville got a penalty because Paul Dumbrell wanted to get between him and the fence and took himself out. And I think even Neil Crompton was like, what is that penalty? And yeah, so McConville was having a great time. Paul Dumbrell was being stupid and got a penalty. And I was like, oh yeah, Paul Dumbrell's doing all right. He usually does well at street circuits. And then he's just like, inside or outside? Inside big gap, outside closing gap. I'm going to go outside. Goes outside. Gets squeezed. Gets damage. Some of those penalties used to give are ridiculous. Yeah, well, and then they got Craig Baird, and then everything was great. The end. Everything was great most of the time. The end. It's like really nicely tidied up these days. It's pretty straightforward now. Compiler shit in 03. Yeah. That was the one at Winton, right? Where Murph got a penalty because Lowndes was all over the place in front of him. And then because Lowndes was like all over the place and Murph crashed into the back of him. And then Lowndes finished going off. He was going off anyway. And Murph put it in his book. I think Murph put it in his book. Neil Crompton put it in his book. Crompo was listing names. He was like, all these people screwed up. It is their fault. Murph was going off as well because he was like, what the hell is that bullshit? And he was getting in trouble big time over it. Crompo got him in trouble big time over it. Colin Bond, so many people. Yeah. Colin Bond didn't last too much longer after that. I think he retired from being a driver's standards advisor. But yeah. But I'm like, if that race just from the controversy made it into two people's books, then it was wrong. It was obviously a mistake. But yeah, just like somebody crashed into him, it must have been their fault. Yeah, you fucked up then. If you made it into two people's books as the villain, it was your fault. Oh my god. Alright, man. I think I gotta wrap it up. We've been rocking for 3.5 hours. Need to upload the 2008, 2009, 2010 season. They do. Because they're just, I don't know. They need a. Maybe they don't have it. Who knows? They have bits. Maybe it's like a Channel 10 thing. Who knows? Is it in the Super Archive on YouTube? Not YouTube. On Supercars website. Have a good night. Yeah. You have a good night too. You got the bell on this time. All right, cool. I'll catch you next week probably. All right. Bye-bye. All right, and that's the end of the stream. 2008 Bathurst is there. That's it. Oh. 2008 Bathurst, 2008 Hamilton. Somebody else uploaded it. Right. And Oran Park last race. So, yeah. That sucks. Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap this up so I can have dinner and then have a good night's sleep and then have a good day tomorrow. So, yeah. Rick Kelly dub. Yes, with that last win. All right. We're done. Yeah. Nice chatting. Yeah, we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.